What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday, February 27th. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. A big thanks for tuning in. However, wherever you're tuning in, if it's on the radio dials, got a couple of those 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also online at sportstalk1051.com. Got the app and video streams also up and rolling here this morning on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. But a happy Thursday, everybody. What do we got on our good old game plan for us this morning? Well, we'll talk a little gritty gold yesterday. Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network reporting that the Packers have had trade conversations surrounding one Jaire Alexander. Probably no big surprise. I mean, it's been a topic of conversation, but I'm assuming, according to Ian's sources, maybe some of those conversations have been going on at the combine this week. But Ian saying the Packers have had trade conversations centered around Jaire Alexander, and they are open to moving him for the right price. Alexander, still just 28 and a two-time Pro Bowler, is considered to be the most decorated corner available. So there you have it. Got that out there. As Andrew Brandt, former Packers executive, tweeted out, translation, Packers haven't gotten a good enough offer yet. So maybe a little bit of a leak out there to get teams a little bit more antsy or up the price tag just a little bit. But I don't think anybody's too surprised by this, right? I'm not too surprised by it. But now that it's out there, now that I think like something like this is out there, he for sure ain't coming back. If there was a slimmer of hope, I mean, yesterday I thought it was like 98% chance he ain't coming back. I think it's like 99% chance now. Once something like that's out there, there's like no, I don't think so. So, but we'll see in the coming days here. Free agency for the Pack opens up, or for the NFL, I should say, that second week of March. So not next week, but the following week. Next week, you've got deadlines for franchise tags and such, but could be a busy week coming up here in a couple of weeks. And that doesn't mean that they got to trade Jaire beforehand. If they're only going to get a pick in return, can go right up to the draft, which is obviously at the end of April. So, but we'll throw a little green and gold chat into this. I want to talk some Bucks. Bucks are back at it tonight as they take on the Denver Nuggets. Tip time for that game is going to be at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Coverage will begin at about 6:30. So Bucks currently, when you're looking at the standings, still now in that fifth spot, game behind Indiana for that fourth spot. But one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Bucks, a fantastic piece, part one of a series, but Lori Nickel from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, a longtime reporter for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, the other day had a piece up about Giannis and his legacy and what will ultimately determine his legacy. And it's a really good piece, and she obviously talks to Giannis about it, but it really kind of centers on Giannis's legacy and kind of comparing it to other Wisconsin sports stars over the years. I should say more recently, talking about the Favres, the Rodgers, Bronze even. So it really interesting piece and kind of Giannis's perspective on legacy, but also comparing it to loyalty and some interesting stuff here. And I want to go through it. I'm not going to read it's not going to be story time, and I'm not going to read the whole piece and such, but thought it was really good. I want to deep dive into this. And, I thought there was a really good part in here too, where Lori writes, let's put it out there. Some longtime Wisconsin sports fans look at Giannis with just one wish. Please don't mess it up. This good thing you've got going, this good person persona, please don't do anything stupid or mean-spirited. And then the really complicated wish, please don't leave. And as Giannis kind of put it out there too, at what point do you go from, loyalty loyalty to an organization, but then kind of translating into being happy for yourself, being happy for yourself. And some interesting comments from Giannis. Well, we're going to go through that coming up here in a little bit, but I guess the question, I'd throw out to you, Scotty fans, sports fans, Wisconsin sports fans right now. I mean, when you think about it, if let's say Giannis left after this season, I mean, is his legacy in your mind tainted? Is it, kind of because you look at Rodgers' legacy right now, I think for Packers fans, I think there's a good chunk of Packers fans, maybe a majority that are tired of Aaron Rodgers, are just like, okay, just go away. We don't, just go. They were happy when he moved on. Now I think in a few years, time will heal all wounds, kind of like the Favre stuff. But what if Giannis leaves? What if Giannis doesn't finish his career with the Bucks? And outside of any, drama sort of thing, I mean, would you, what I guess where's the trajectory of Giannis's legacy right now for you Bucks fans? I mean, because I agree. I think, Giannis right now is like the perfect example, perfect role model for younger fans, for kids like my kid. That's why his favorite player is Giannis. But I think Giannis right now is setting the he's like the perfect role model, I think, for because every kid, we all did it as kids. We've had role models as athletes and such. And now over the years with social media and stuff, we maybe learn a little bit more about our favorite athletes that we wish we didn't. And Giannis even joked about he wished maybe he could have been born earlier and played in the 90s and 2000s where there wasn't social media and such. But I don't know. I want to hit this up, but I want to talk a little bit about this because I think, if you're a Wisconsin sports fan and a Bucks fan and such, that's maybe one thing you're still kind of worried about, or it's still in the back of your mind is Giannis going to leave? Is he going to leave? And what's that going to mean to his legacy and such? So we'll talk about that. Brewers yesterday, spring training, dropping both their games. It was split squad action. Diamondbacks, they lost that one. They lost to the Dodgers. That one was on the radio yesterday. But Diamondbacks lost 7-1. Brewers against the Dodgers 9-3. Kind of a rough day at the office for Carlos Rodriguez, pitcher for the Brewers. Pitched 1 2/3, but went through the lineup a couple times, gave up 6 earned runs. Started off his outing with a couple of hit batters. And if you remember Carlos Rodriguez, he's a youngster again, but we got to see him a little bit last year in 3 games. And in his 3 games, and I think they're still high on him. There's optimism about him for his future. But last year, he was 0-3 and a little over 12 innings, pitched 10 earned runs, 3 home runs, gave up a 365 batting average. So, guy maybe got thrown in a little too early last year, but with the injuries, they brought him up and kind of struggled a little bit yesterday. With some command and such, but kind of a rough day at the office for him. But we got to see Garrett Mitchell tattooing a shot. He collected a couple of hits in yesterday's contest. So be nice if he can display more of that consistent power throughout this upcoming season. So, but Brewers will be back at it today. They're going to be going up against the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Aaron Savali on the mound for the first time for the Brewers this year. And then Freddie Peralta is going to get a start if everything's going to stay true here. It looks like Freddie Peralta will get a start tomorrow and make his debut in spring training. So we'll talk some Brewers, talk some baseball as spring training continues to roll around. And, this weekend we'll get into March and then countdown's on for the regular season to finally kick off. We've got a little receiver defer coming up at about 7:45 this morning. So we'll hit that up. We'll do some outdoor chats with our DNR warden buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes. Text us your questions that you may have for Jake that you want to ask to a DNR warden. All right, text them on over 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Got to text them ahead of time here so we can get those on over to Jake. So go ahead and do that. College hoops wise, I mean, last night you had kind of a thriller at the end. Badger fans, though, maybe I think you were wishing that Maryland was going to be able to pick up that win against Michigan State last night, but Michigan State hitting a half-court buzzer beater shot to win it walk-off fashion, 58-55. So now we got Wisconsin and Michigan State lined up for this Sunday. But man, if Maryland could have pulled that off, that game coming up this Sunday between Wisconsin and Michigan State would be a little bit more epic, a little bit more drama-filled, right? But man, it's almost March, and we got some crazy buzzer-beating March madness going on already at the end of February here. So, all right, that's your game plan here for us this morning. And whatever else you have on your mind, you can let us know by joining in on the conversation with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Join in on the video stream, comment over there, or hit me up with some emails and such. Let's pitter patter and let's get at her. We'll open it up. We'll talk some green and golds with the Jaire. I mean, if you want to call it news, I don't think anybody's really surprised about it. But with the Jaire Alexander nugget from yesterday, that the Packers, according to Ian Rappaport, have been having some trade conversations surrounding Jaire Alexander. We'll hit that up. But I want to talk some Bucks too, and talk a little bit about Giannis. I mean, I would think he's probably, if you were to poll Wisconsin sports fans, like a Q rating, like a PR rating sort of thing. I mean, he's number one, right? Who else would you put up there? I mean, is Jordan Love top 5? I mean, if you had to like put your top, just overall likeness, like oh, I love that dude. I love that guy. I love that athlete. I can't imagine anybody else at this point would be above Giannis. But what would it have to take for maybe Giannis, in a Wisconsin sports fan's eyes, to tarnish the legacy he has built up? Maybe it wouldn't be anything. Let's hit that up too. I want to talk a little bit about that because it's a great piece by Lori Nickel on the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. So Packers, Bucks chat to open up things and whatever else is on your mind. All right, join in on the convo. I want to hear from you. We'll take our quick break, and then coming up, we got the leadoff to get things rolling here this morning. We'll be back in just a few minutes. The thrill of the hunt starts with the right firearm. At Tilden Gun, they know what it takes to make every shot count. Whether you're going after deer, turkey, or waterfowl, they offer a wide selection of hunting rifles and shotguns built for accuracy and durability. From the moment you pick up your firearm to that perfect shot, they want to make sure you're ready. Their knowledgeable team will help you find the right firearm for your hunt with a focus on quality and performance. Whether you're just starting out or you are a seasoned hunter, Tilden Gun has something for everyone. This season, don't trust your success to anything less this upcoming season. Visit Tilden Gun and gear up for your next hunt. And check out their website too, tildengun.com, for their biggest selection in the area, best prices in the area too. Forgot to note a little bit earlier, but Blue Gold men's basketball did fall last night in the semis and the WIAC tournament to lacrosse. So we'll now wait and see if they will get selected to the tournament coming up a little bit later on. So, all right, let's get things rolling here this morning. We'll chat a little Bucks to open it up. To begin with, we've got the Bucks back in action tonight, taking on the Denver Nuggets. That tip time for that game will be at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. You can check out pregame action at about 6:30 on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. We were talking a little bit about it in the opener about Lori Nichols' piece on Milwaukee Journal Sentinel about Giannis and his legacy when it comes to Wisconsin sports fans and such, and loyalty and that. And as she noted in her piece, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go on. It's going to be. It sounds like there's multiple parts to it, but part one was published. And as she noted, let's put it out there. Some longtime Wisconsin sports fans look at Giannis with just one wish: please don't mess it up. This good thing you've got going, this good person persona. Please don't do anything stupid or mean spirited. And then the really complicated wish: please don't leave. Giannis was talking a little bit about, some former Wisconsin sports stars that have left, Rogers and Favre and Council and Braun and, and all that stuff there too. But one thing that Giannis, he kind of questions a little bit is do we put as fans too much pressure on these players in terms of being loyal to their franchises? What are your thoughts? Hit us up with a quick text 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Do you think we put a little too much pressure on our favorite athletes to be loyal to the franchises that they're with? He wonders if we put too much pressure on athletes to be loyal and stay with the same team. As Lori notes, he's got a really good point. Loyalty is often undefined. It's not the same as unconditional love. That probably should be reserved only for your children and such. So what do you think in turn when it comes to Giannis, or to the question that Giannis poses out there? Do we put too much pressure on athletes to be loyal to their teams?
I don't think so. Not the money they're paying them. I mean, it's a give and take situation. You're going to be here and you're making, I don't know how much money Giannis is making in this contract, but the money these people are making, are they just hired guns or are they part of the community? They come and they go. I don't think it's too much to ask that you show a little loyalty to the community and the franchise that's paying you a lot of money. So, I'm not asking you to move your whole family here and, for generations to come, you'd be Milwaukeeans. But I think when you're here, I think it behooves the athlete to show a lot of loyalty.
I would disagree. I think we do, because I think loyalty is a two-way street. We put a lot of pressure on the athlete, but then at the same point, we should probably hold that to the same standard as the team. If a team can look at Dallas right now when they traded Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic was incredibly loyal to the Mavericks, wanted to stay there, but he didn't have a say in them trading over there too. So I think we put a lot of the pressure on athletes individual to stay there, but at the same time, some of those decisions are made by the general managers or the front office or the owners for those teams when players do want to stay.
But but let's face it, how many trades have you ever seen of the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis level? You don't see many of those. I mean, this was a real exception. You talk to anybody that follows sports, they'll say this was a blockbuster. It was something that caught everybody
Trades
off
or
guard.
releases, not just that one. It's guys getting released and such too. And I think there is something, as Giannis noted too. It's about, he posed the question: at what point do you stay loyal, and at what point do you try to be just happy for yourself? And he talked about Craig Counsell a little bit. And he doesn't. He admitted he doesn't know the whole story about Craig Counsell on that, and said that just after he was told a little bit about the situation and such, and he said, let the guy be happy. He's like, man, he's not that bad. Like, you had the best years of my career, and I gave you everything that I could for you, and now it's maybe time for me to make a decision for myself. I think it's totally, totally, totally fair.
Yeah, I mean, I to a point I agree with you, but to another point I disagree with you. I mean, these guys are making some ungodly money. He's playing on a good team, so what does he want to do? Be LeBron and go buy a championship team like Kevin Durant has done and different ones like that? I can see that point that they want to play on a winner every year. That's the competitive nature of these guys and these gals that are playing at that level. But still in all, how many people run around to a game and they're buying Giannis jerseys, they're buying Jordan Love jerseys, they bought Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers jersey. I mean, the loyalty there. I mean, these people, when they show up someplace, they're treated like gods. And, I think the community, now you're talking the community, the organization, those are two different issues. The organizations, but every time you talk to one of those people, when they talk about a contractor moving, what do they say? This is a business. And so they're treating it like a business. So I think you got to separate what the fans feel and what the organization and the NFL or the NBA as an organization do. They're in this to make money. I mean, you take a look at there's a reason ESPN supposedly isn't going to have baseball anymore. It's dollars and cents. It's not the popularity of the game. So, I don't think you can cast a blanket and say loyalty yes, loyalty no. It's different areas. As fans, we're loyal. I love Giannis. And, we loved Aaron Rodgers when he was here till he went off the deep end. It's an organization-player relationship that's different than the player-fan relationship, I think.
And I think that's where I go into, or I it's great that we have the superstars, but if I had to define loyalty, I'm not necessarily defined to a player. I'm defined to a team. When it comes to my loyalty, I'm a Packers fan, and I'm a Bucks fan, and I'm a Brewers fan. Yes, I'm a Giannis fan, but when Giannis if he does play somewhere else, that doesn't mean I'm going to be, getting rid of my Giannis fandom or my Bucks fandom just to go follow us. And I feel like the NBA is a little bit different because it is such an individualized sport for a lot of, especially youngsters. The NBA, because there's been so much movement across these different players and such, where, you've got kids or people being fans of these individual players. And so the NBA is a little bit more different. We're seeing a little bit more in the NFL with more movement, but I mean, for crying out loud, every couple of years, I wouldn't want to buy an NBA jersey because the guy would probably be moved. You know what I mean? He's probably going to be gone in a couple of years, especially when you talk about first round picks. They don't even play until like 5 years later or so.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that way. But like I said, between the fans and the organization and the relationship to the players, I think they're two different categories.
So, I mean, if Giannis decides to leave at this point, if he decides to, in a couple of years say, hey, I just need a change of scenery, I need to go somewhere different, I'm not going to hold it against him, to be honest with you.
Well, I go back to my younger days when Kareem did the same thing. I was disappointed as could be, but I still admired Kareem, and I understand the reason he left was a lot different than the reason these guys are leaving now.
True. Yeah.
He was too big for the community is what it amounted to. He needed to be in an LA or New York or one of those big cities because he was just the biggest thing in the sport. And Giannis, as great as he is, and he's one of the top 5 players, but is he bigger than Milwaukee? I don't know. I was still a fan of Kareem, and I'd still be a fan of Giannis. I appreciate the skills that they have, and neither one of them are, some of these guys leave and they're kind of malicious about it. Luka was not malicious against Dallas. He loved Dallas and he had a home there and this and the other thing. But some of them leave and they are, they cast aspersions. I don't know if we could say that about Aaron Rodgers or not, but I'd still root for Giannis. I could understand if he wants to try something else. Maybe that's what he wants. I don't know where he wants to go or what he's hinting at here. If he is hinting at it, or if this is something being dreamed up by some of the sports reporters or talk show hosts, I don't know where that's coming from. If it's really out there that he's seriously talking about maybe moving.
No, I mean, it's just it's a deep dive into Giannis's mindset and legacy and loyalty, and part of it here says he adds that there will be a time he will have to go. He won't play until he's 50. But also, he doesn't have a crystal ball. How will the final years of his career affect his legacy? He wonders. He uses a parent-child analogy that it's just natural to let the kids grow up and leave. Quote, I really believe don't stay in a place too long to taint your legacy. Like you're a parent, it's going to be a time that you have to let go. And as Lori says, we must be careful here. This is where the crazies take words out of context. Giannis is just speaking from his observations of other athletes. He's not playing the hypothetical game for himself. Remember, dear reader, what he said. He's here. He's committed. He's challenged right now in February 2025, trying to get the Bucks to another finals. He's just answering a reporter's questions about legacy, and he's looked at his contemporaries for possible clues. Actions speak louder than words, and while Giannis has constantly pledged his allegiance to the Bucks, he's also re-signed contracts in Milwaukee 3 times. His loyalty has been proven time and time again. Quote, KD had this quote a couple of years ago. Giannis said, he said, it's all nice, all good until you lose your joy, So I think he was talking about probably he lost his joy playing. Then he had to find something, a new challenge, but people criticize him. Jimmy Butler basically said the same thing. I don't think you should be unhappy. I think if you're not happy in an environment, you should go and look for a different environment that you feel joy, you feel wanted and appreciated. And again, before people spin those words, Giannis is not saying that he's going through that right now.
Yeah, I never heard that either. So I'm glad to hear you clarify that. But you look at the times, Mickey Mantle, he was a Yankee. Henry Aaron was a Brave. But the money wasn't what it is now. And that, I think, is what Jimmy Butler, why he's moving. I mean, he might be unhappy, but there's a money factor here. These modern day athletes are leaving for money. Miles from Cleveland, Myles Garrett, he's looking to sign a big contract. I mean, Cleveland isn't the ideal place to play football if you want to win a championship, obviously. But these guys nowadays are motivated, in my mind anyway, and it's up for debate, obviously. But in my mind, these guys are motivated by moving so they can sign another contract, a bigger contract. And I think that's the difference in the mindset of players nowadays and back in the day when, money wasn't the driving force in sports. And money is the driving force in sports now. I don't think you can debate that a bit.
Yeah, it is a main drive force. I don't know if it, I wouldn't put all of them in that category. I mean, to be fair, Myles Garrett did come out and say he wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's why he wants to leave Cleveland, because he's already under a big contract, and that's why Cleveland can't really trade him, because then they would be in salary cap hell and such. So, and as Giannis talked about his teammate too, Dame. Dame spent 11 years in Portland and did everything and such. And then he got to a point where he wants to win a championship. And that's why he wanted to leave Portland to try to find a championship and such. So yes, money is a factor. It absolutely does determine a lot of people's motivations. And, Myles Garrett, does that mean he would take a huge pay cut to go play for the Philadelphia Eagles for the veterans minimum? Hell no, he would never do that.
I don't think so.
He would not do that. Yeah. So it's not like, these guys, like, that's why I find it funny, when we hear, well, a player took a pay cut, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, took a pay cut for the Jets. Jets now have a huge dead cap hit because of Aaron Rodgers. There's two sides of the story. The headline that was ran was Rodgers took a pay cut, and then you had Packers fans that were pissed because he took a pay cut. He didn't really take a pay cut. He took a pay cut in a certain area, but he still was making the same, or if not more, in certain areas. It's massaging the contract to fit, your immediate needs of the salary cap and such. So there's more to it. These guys aren't just like, yeah, I'll play for the minimum to win. No, you're not. Especially if
Just
you're playing
like
at a high
Brady,
level.
Brady obviously renegotiated contracts, but the money, I don't know for sure, but I'm sure he's probably still getting money from New England.
And he's doing well if he's able to buy ownerships in the Raiders and some other franchises and other sports too. So it's not like he's in trouble, and probably, paying off some other stuff here too. So it's like, he's doing okay, even if he did take a couple $1 million less.
Yeah.
Right? He's doing okay.
And
So,
every athlete is an individual. Is Myles Garrett driven that far? Every athlete that's at that level wants to win, obviously. That's what drives you. And does he really want to win that bad to get out of Cleveland? Look at Joe Thomas. He played.
Yeah, right. Joe Thomas is probably the definition of a loyalty in recent history, right?
Exactly. And so, Cleveland's a different franchise. They're individuals. They've all got different motivations. Some of them, the motivation is money. Others truly, truly want to have a ring. And I would think anybody that suits up in any sport wants to win. Salary at that level is important. But anytime you go on the golf course, the softball field, the football field, whatever you're doing, you want to win. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think, over the years, especially because I know Aaron, when he was with Green Bay, and he talked about, at one point he did talk about he wanted to spend his whole career in Green Bay. And he mentioned Kobe and Tim Duncan, those guys who spent their entire careers with one franchise. And that was kind of a motivation for him. Obviously, that hasn't worked out, and he might be on his third team this year. Who knows how that's going to work out? I don't know if Giannis has that same mindset that he would like to be with one team, like a Kobe, like a Duncan, like a Joe Thomas, and that. I honestly feel like Giannis's mindset is he wants to win, and he just wants to be in a place where he's happy. And right now, he's in a place where he's happy. He's I don't know how many times he's had to kind of say that he's happy right now. And he talked about too not wanting to be comfortable in a sense of like it was kind of interesting. Like, that's why he doesn't buy brand new cars yet. When you see him when he's not playing, he's not decked out in all these fancy suits and jewelry. He's wearing sweats because he doesn't want to get in that too comfortable space. He wants to still be motivated and such. And it's a different mindset. And I think it's a mindset that, fans probably like hearing and appreciate in a sense. It doesn't mean he's always going to be like that. In a few years, it could change. We've seen athletes do that how many times? I don't think if you asked us 10 years ago, is Aaron going to do what he's doing now? He'd be like, no, he learned from Favre. It's kind of following the same path here a little bit. So I've learned over the years, I can't fully trust athletes and what they say 100% of the
you
time.
Think? So, but also, I don't trust these national talking heads. They've got to come up with topics, and they dream these things up. They're making an issue out of this Giannis thing where there is no issue. Giannis, like you just said, Giannis never said he wanted to leave. Giannis is happy in Milwaukee. But all these people say, how can a guy that good be in Milwaukee? He's got to go to Chicago. He's got to go to New York. He's got to go Lord knows where, with the Warriors or somebody like that, or Phoenix.
The Knicks,
how can he, the Knicks, how can he stay in Milwaukee? They're dreaming this stuff up. It's not a story.
Right.
It's just an opinion. And that's the problem I have with a lot of these blogs and things like that. Those people don't have to deal with facts. They just deal with anything they want to pull out of the sky. And people will listen to that, or they'll read it. And so I read it, or I heard so-and-so Giannis is leaving. Well, no, they're just making this stuff up. They're trying to create a story. And that's where you got to be careful when you're talking about some of these issues, because there's no basis in fact. Whether it's sports, politics, Lord knows what. It's just too much of this now.
Right. I mean, there was it was actually just was it last week and such. It was like Giannis, publicly said that it was when we talked about when he said he would never force a GM to trade him and such. Like the team would have to trade him and that. And then it was less than 24 hours on ESPN. You had Shams, their NBA insider. Their topic was Giannis loves the Bucks, but he loves winning more. And it turned into, the Bucks know what's at stake. And I'm like, we're literally less than 24 hours of Giannis saying he would never force a trade. And what's the topic at the mothership? Well, Giannis loves Milwaukee, but if they don't win, he's going to want out.
Oh, yeah. They're creating controversy. There's no basis in fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just like, what I get it. It draws clicks and such for some people. We were frustrated about it. We were talking about it, which in turn turns into points for them because they get, the views and such. So, but, if Giannis does leave, I don't know what the circumstances would be. You hope it's not a kind of a Rodgers exit or a Favre exit. I mean, those have been less than stellar exits and such. I don't know how a Giannis exit would look like. But I mean, at this current point in time, would you say for Wisconsin athletes, like Giannis right now is a Q rating of 1, like he's the number 1 guy in the state of Wisconsin?
Absolutely.
I mean, he says the right things. He does the right things. He's not, showboating or, causing controversy. He's a family man. That's Midwestern values, right? He's all about family and such. He's a goofball. He has fun, I mean, I don't know who would be in competition with him for a Q rating right now at the top. I honestly don't know.
No, there's no. You look at the Packers, there's nobody on the Packers that even comes close. On the Brewers,
maybe
Yelich
Jackson, but he's still kind of young.
Oh, yeah, and Churio, but I mean, and you got, you've got Christian Yelich, but his performance has been lacking because of injuries the last few years. So a few years ago, he was up there with Giannis, but not now. Giannis is head and shoulders above any other athlete in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably on the least popular team.
Yeah,
Packers are number 1.
Yeah.
Brewers up there. If you throw Badgers as a collective unit, Bucks are probably 4th on there.
Maybe Tanji's one of the most popular athletes in Wisconsin right now when you go to college and pro.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. But, Giannis is far and away number 1.
Mm-hmm. And, if we incorporate everybody and you still run, I'd throw Euchre in there too if he was still around up there too.
I'm
but,
thinking of
just
active
athletes.
But,
yeah.
But as far as popular sports people, be a good argument. Would Euchre be more popular than Giannis? I think so.
I would,
because he's in the public. He was in the public all the time. He was always talking, and he wasn't. The athletes now. I feel sorry for him because in the old days they went out and had jobs and they sold cars or sold insurance. Or Fuzzy Thurston had a bar here in Eau Claire. He was there on the bar stool talking to people. They can't do that nowadays because people are crazy.
That's what kind of Giannis talked a little bit about too. He said, "Man, I wish he's like he tells his mom sometimes, why couldn't I be born in 1974 and 1984?
Yeah.
Because
mingle
social
with
media
the
and
people.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can imagine if he tried to go to the grocery store. Could you imagine what had happened?
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Leave the poor man alone. He's just living like everybody else. He's got a different job, and he's probably a lot better at his job than you and I are at ours. Leave the man alone.
Yeah, and like you said, while you're walking, you get this feeling like, oh my God, everybody's watching. How can I bend? How can I talk to my kid? They're watching everything that I do right now. 4 security guards followed us. 2 photographers followed us. And to his credit, he said, I'm not going to let this affect me. I'm not going to let this change my approach, the way I talk to my kids. I'm going to be who I am. And sometimes when you're in it so much like me, I'm going to be who I am. And I've made that decision. He talked a little bit too when he was in Greece one time. And obviously he's a big deal in Greece because that's where he's from. But apparently Rodgers was there too. And at the hotel, he said nobody recognized Rodgers because nobody in Greece watches football. And he's like, man, why can't that be me?
Well, but when you're 7 feet tall,
that's the other part too.
He's awful imposing, but I do feel sorry for him. Like, what's the fun things in the summer? You go to AmFam Field and thousands of people are out there grilling out. Well, if Giannis pulled in an SUV and pulled out a grill and put a table up and, started throwing bean bags, what do you think would happen? I mean, the whole place would just surround him.
Yeah.
And I understand it, that you can't be yourself with your family and go to a ball game, cook a couple of brats or hamburgers and have a beer, soda, whatever you want, and then go into the game and watch the game. Yeah, it's frustrating, but on the other hand,
it's the profession you chose too, though, right?
But and you're getting pretty well compensated for that.
Yep.
But I do agree with him. I see people like that, and we've talked about it before. When I was in Kansas City, and the Negro ball players were there, and they were all there, and they were hanging around, and nobody approached them because we were broadcasters, and I want to say professionals, and you appreciated why they were there. They weren't there to sign autographs or take pictures with hangers on, and so it was just fun to see them. But I don't think a lot of people respect their privacy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like if you were having a grill out and 50, 60, 70, 100 people came around and just watched cook hamburgers, that'd be kind of unnerving and frustrating. I mean, and so I see what they're doing, and it's only natural for people to, Mike, I'm going to get up there and get a picture. I wonder if we get a picture with me, this and the other thing. And it is what it is. They understand kids are in awe. And, you don't mind the kids, but when it's the grown-ups making fools of themselves around them, that's the problem. The kids, I remember one time I was in the airport in Florida, and Chocolate Thunder came through there, and my little guy was about 8 or 9 years old, and he saw him. He knew who he was, Daryl Dawkins, and he walked out. I said, "Well, see if he'll talk to you." And I didn't go up there.
Yep.
And he was all by himself, and he's about 6'11", big man. And he walked up there, and Matt said, "Look, my little guy." He was about 3 feet high. He looked up to this guy, and he said, "Hi, Mr. Dawkins." Then he talked to him. He stopped and talked to him, and I stood off to the side. And he said, "Is that your dad?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, do you want a picture?" "Oh, so we got a picture." And away he went. But you got to respect their privacy. You can't invade their privacy. They'll accept kids, but not adults going up there and bugging them, because it is frustrating.
And that's what, it annoys me when, a couple times we've done this. We go to training camp, and the guys are biking down and you got all the kids there.
And that's a time period where they expect to be with the public.
And then when I see the adults trying to manage everything and trying to get in and cutting in front of kids to get an order, I'm like, okay, no, this is ridiculous. You're an adult. This is a kid's thing.
That's what they should put a fence up around there, and nobody over 13 or 14 allowed.
And I feel bad for the security guards, because there's a few of them, but then they can't handle all these, especially when it's like a Jordan Love, or at that time it was Aaron Jones, biking down, the guys that the kids recognize and the adults recognize, these security people are trying to say, you got to stay back. You got to let them through. They're going to practice.
Yeah.
But they're overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
no, I can understand it.
The adults, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? The way they're acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, the adults trying to get autographs later that day was probably put on eBay, because they're going to sell all that stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. And that's what's different now than years ago. It really, and it's too bad, because there is that profit potential that these people see by, like you say, selling it on eBay. And this is, it's too bad, because otherwise, as an athlete, I remember when I was a kid in Madison, going to University of Wisconsin football practices and hanging around the edge. And these guys would, walk by, and you'd recognize them, and, you could talk to them a little bit when they go in as a kid. But it wasn't a big deal. And everybody didn't have a device that they could take a picture with,
Right, yeah.
And so, they'd sign autographs for you. You'd take your own helmet, and they'd sign their autograph on your helmet. But nobody was going to sell that. That was going home.
Right.
So, it's different. And really and truly, I think the public nowadays is as much to blame for frustration of athletes not mixing with the public as anything. I think the public has made it tough on these guys.
Yeah. And I've often wondered too, like when we go to Green Bay for a weekend for a game, and I know we got to take a quick break, we'll go out to eat, and I'm like, okay, what happens if like we walk in a restaurant and and I look over and Jordan loves there eating with his family or such. Like what I'd just be curious, like what would people be doing? That just, you think about that. Like, would they
Yeah.
actually let him be in peace, or would they be constantly going up to him and such? And
Yeah.
and I'm like, I could not do that. Like I could not go up there and such. If you make eye contact, do a nod or say, hey, whatever. But just
thumbs up or something like that, and
right.
continue on your way. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Or
know,
like Matt LaFleur, who's got a young family. Do I want to? Do you want to? I'd feel uncomfortable to go up there and interrupt him and all that stuff.
But
So
some people don't have the brains they were born with, and they don't think about that. Think about me first. Me. I'm going to get a picture. I'm going to get an autograph. Well, there's a time and a place, and that's not the time or the place.
Yep. All right, we got to take a quick break here. By the time we come back, we'll wrap up the first hour. And then we'll talk a little Green Bay coming up next hour as well. Plus, spring training, Brewers. We'll tell you what happened yesterday. When pain slows you down, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine gets you moving again. From sports injuries to joint pain and everything else in between, their expert team provides cutting-edge care to keep you active. Whether you need physical therapy, surgery, or a customized treatment plan, they're here to help you heal faster and stronger. Don't let pain hold you back. Trust the specialists at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you back in the game. Well, I'll have to definitely talk to Dr. Crow tomorrow after the news broke last night that potential number one pick in the NFL, Abdul Carter from Penn State, was revealed that he may need foot surgery. He's got a couple options that he could have foot surgery, have an 8-week recovery, or bypass surgery, do his pro day, and prove to NFL teams that he doesn't need it. So
is that number 11, the defensive player?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he could be a lot of talk was he was going to be the number one pick. He was trending up there, but now he got foot surgery, which we'll talk to Dr. Crow about. But
Oh, that's a prime pick for the Packers then. Draft in the first round, draft an injured guy.
Yeah, so maybe he does fall down. I don't know, but yeah, we'll talk to Dr. Crow about that tomorrow for a little inside the train. You make an appointment yet with him?
I've been over there. He's treated me, and I'm 110%. I'm going crazy now. My knee was driving me nuts. I was in there 15 minutes, and he fixed it, and I am good to go. I'm looking forward to going to Australia and New Zealand here in a couple of weeks and walking all over. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, thanks to Dr. Crow. He's got wonderful bedside manner. He fixed it. He said, well, all done. I said, what'd you do? But it's good to go. And again, by the time I got out to my truck to leave, I was without pain.
There you go.
So he knows his stuff, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, yep, we'll talk with him tomorrow. I got about a minute till the shot clock cuts off. So coming up next hour, we'll talk a little green and golds. Yesterday with probably the news that didn't surprise anybody, but Ian Rappaport from NFLnetwork.com saying that sources have said that the Packers have explored or have had trade conversations with teams surrounding Jaire Alexander. Color me shocked. Not really, but we'll hit that up. Plus, we'll talk some Brewers as spring training continues to roll along. Got another game going up against the Royals today. Yesterday was a split game where the Brewers lost both, if you keep track of that stuff. Lost the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks yesterday. So
Corbin Burns.
Yeah, Corbin Burns did pitch for the Diamondbacks yesterday. So, but we'll talk a little Brewers baseball as well. When we get to March this weekend, we can say regular season starts at the end of the month because, well, it will coming up here in just a few weeks. So, and then this weekend it'll be 2 weeks Sunday, Selection Sunday, and tournament time. And we got a big game coming up this weekend with Wisconsin taking on Michigan State. Michigan State with that half-court game-winning shot last night. Did you see that?
Yes, I was
Against
watching that
Maryland?
game, and I was thinking, boy, Maryland might pull this off. And then the guy threw it up too fast, as it turns out, that last shot, and he wasn't set. I mean, it was a surprise that he shot that ball that fast, but I suppose he wanted, if there's a rebound, maybe we can get the rebound, throw it in. I don't know what he was thinking, but it didn't turn out too well for him. But, that was quite a shot.
Yep. All right, 1 hour in. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning. Hopefully, all off to a absolutely fantastic start on this final Thursday of February. We're going to talk a little baseball coming up here. We're going to talk a little football. We've got receiver defer at the back end of this hour. Send in your questions to Mr. Jake Boakes, our outdoor DNR warden. That'll be joining us at 8:30 this morning. Text those on over at 715-830-1912. We'll begin this hour, though, with a little throwback Thursday coming at you. I got a couple of them here, and then one of them I'm going to turn into a question for all the listeners to chime in at. But first up, 1908, Major League Baseball adopted a sacrifice fly rule for the first time. It was repealed, reinstated, and then changed several times before being permanently accepted in 1954. And then 1987, the NCAA canceled Southern Methodist University's entire 87 football schedule for gross violations of NCAA rules on athletic corruption. And then the question I'll throw out to everybody out there, 1912, the New York Yankees announced that they would be wearing pinstripes on their uniforms. So the question, our little question of the day, who do you feel has the most iconic uniforms in all of sports? We'll see where the majority of votes go to. Is it the Yankees with the pinstripes? Is it somebody else out there from a different sport, perhaps? Who do you got? Text those, comment on the streams, email, whatever. Who do you think has the most iconic sports uniforms of all time? I think I'd still go Yankees with mine. What do you think?
Yeah, for baseball, but basketball, it's the Celtics.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I was trying to think of that Celtics.
And football, they wear some of these crazy throwback uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Packers and the Steelers with their regular uniforms,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
But I think the Celtics, because Celtics don't wear crazy uniforms that I've seen, Now that I've seen the Bucks with Brewtown on them and this, that, and the other thing, and all these teams, but I haven't seen the Celtics do that a lot. They're pretty much green or white with Celtics on the front. And now I don't know if they've done some of these.
I know they've had like black ones and stuff like that.
But I mean, basically that green Celtics uniform is, to me, the basketball uniform that I can associate with the team and with the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But the Yankees in baseball, I would say.
Yeah, like most iconic logo, if you wanted to go in there too. I mean, boy, that's.
Then I have to think a little bit.
Yeah, like I always, when I think of logos, I almost just directly go to baseball for a lot of those too. I mean, the NY. I mean, they're so simple for a lot of them too.
Exactly.
Like the older ones, Cubs with the C.
Yep.
You know, Boston Red Sox.
And the Cubs uniform with that Cubs on the chest.
Yeah.
That's an iconic uniform. There are some great ones and I like those uniforms. All these, they're just trying to sell uniforms, is what they are.
Yep.
And so I understand what they're trying to do, but I like the traditional uniforms. I think they're classier. I think they're more well done. Now they're just, they're just putting something out there to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the Yankees, probably, and the Yankees in baseball to me. All the Dodgers have stuck pretty much to their roots. They've always had Dodgers across the front, and the Yankees. Red Sox also have not strayed very far from the printed Red Sox over their chest. So there are some good ones out there, but the Celtics and the Yankees to me are the two.
Yeah, Celtics is a good one because as soon as you say, I mean, I'm thinking of Larry Bird, Bill Russell, and
they all look the same. John Havlicek, Bill Russell, they all wear the same uniform to Jason Tatum today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. That's a good one.
And it's recognizable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, football-wise, I mean, I think you hit it. Like Green Bay, it's just, it's for the longest time. It hasn't always been green and yellow and such, but there you got Pittsburgh. You throw in the Bears maybe too.
Yeah, the Bears have a real traditional uniform, that black uniform with the white pants and the orange and black stripe on the
blue.
Pants. Yep, I think they're dark blue, I guess it is. But those traditional, and I think those are the classiest, the traditional ones. I don't like all those. The Packers have had going back to the uniforms from the they're the Packers, a packing house, and I like the traditional ones, not the throwbacks. But I understand, like I said, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell a little bit more to you.
A part of me really believes that, because I feel like you just see a lot of people wearing Yankees hats, and I almost feel like they're not even Yankees fans.
Oh no,
It's just
and
it's
why?
almost a fashion
And
statement
why?
sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
Just to have that out there.
And I see that all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've been lucky to be around different places, and if I had to identify a cap that I see more around the world than any place else, it would be the NY.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I remember one time I bought a Boston hat just to have the beat, and that was like when they were, like, it was like I was in college, and everybody was like wearing Boston Red Sox hats. Then I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like that too, and but yeah, I believe that a lot of people just wear it because it's almost a fashion statement for a lot of people.
Well, it is, and it's iconic. I mean, you look at it and you know what it is.
Yep. I did forget this one. I mean, because you mentioned his name a little bit earlier, and since we're talking about Yankees, but it was this day in 1963, Mickey Mantle signed a contract worth $100,000 with the New York Yankees. So, chunk change compared to now.
Well, yeah, and those guys, $100,000 was a lot of money back then, but more than likely, these guys were, also had other jobs. They were spokesmen for Jack Kelly Cadillac in New York. And so they were, maybe selling cars during the off season, and, who would want to buy a car from Mickey Mantle type of thing. So, and I know a lot of these guys from the Packers, always Jerry Kramer talked about having another job when he was playing with the Packers. And so it's the world is different.
Well, heck,
especially in sports.
Heck, even when he was an assistant coach with the Giants, Lombardi had another job in the offseason.
Yeah.
He was, I think, an insurance
salesperson,
if my memory serves me correct.
You think he was intimidating, selling you insurance?
Right. So, I mean, there's, it was, when you read some of that stuff, like you had, I think Tony Canadeo was a steel salesman or something, when he wasn't playing. And
well, you look at the houses in Green Bay that they lived in. They were neighborhood houses. They weren't like our friend down in Madison, Pam Yankee, now owns a house she calls Pambo. It's a block from Lambeau Field, but it was owned by the kicker, escaping my mind now. Guy that ran in for a touchdown against the Bears.
Yeah. Now you just put me on the spot.
And he had some problems with alcohol and stuff, but it was just a little ranch house on a regular street. It wasn't
Chester Markle.
Yeah, I think that's who it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he owned a house on a regular street, just like a neighborhood in Eau Claire. I mean, there were no walls around it or anything else. He just had a house, and that's Lombardi lived in that kind of a house. And, and they all were part of the community. They didn't have big estates on the edge of town or behind a wall someplace.
Hell, some of those guys shared an apartment together.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
there was.
I thought the greatest story we ever heard was from Jerry Kramer about Paul Hornung and Max McGee. Remember that story?
Yeah. Yep.
The day they moved in, they pulled the drapes. The day they moved out, they opened the drapes.
I remember a couple years ago, I think it was PackersNews.com had like a slideshow of like where the old Lombardi Packer players lived, and I think it was Willie Davis in the apartment complex. I know where it's right next to, it's Lambeau now, but it's like a party apartment, because every time you go by it, they got like the banners and such. And now every time I see it, I'm like, Willie Davis actually lived there. Oh, yeah. And now it's just it's like a duplex apartment place. And I'm like, gosh, I think it's right over by the Don Hudson Center, actually.
Yeah, and that's why you had to admire these guys. A lot of them, when they left the Packers or left the Bears or left any of this pro sports back then, they became very successful businessmen, and for the most part, it was on their name. It's not because they had a lot of money to invest. It's because they were smart, and they knew how to. Willie Davis got in the media. He got into distribution of beer and liquor. I mean, and on and on and on. Bob Long started the Pizza Hut chain, the receiver for the Packers. So on and on and on, and they didn't have how many millions and millions of dollars in the bank to invest in these sorts of things. They had to start, like a lot of people, their name went a long way. I'll grant you that. But still in all, they didn't have the income at that point in time. They made their income.
Yeah. Definitely. I love those good old days. I love those stories.
Yeah,
Love
so
'em.
do I. I mean, it's just so different
Yep.
than it is now, and I think that's what's frustrating to a lot of fans. And when you hear these guys complaining, and I want to be traded, and I want this, and I want that. What can you want? You're making $25 million a year, and that's what's frustrating
Well, remember, Latrell Sprewell had trouble feeding his family.
because he's only making what $6 million a year, something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
I
But
wonder whatever happened to him.
I don't know. But you think about it too. It wasn't that long ago in the 60s with the Lombardi Packers and that.
No,
In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long ago.
but just think how everything that really put the NFL on the map. The Packers and Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
That put the NFL on the map, and it just expanded. I mean, it just blew up. And it took a while for the players to catch up with the owners as far as how to make money. I mean, these owners are filthy rich, and it's the most, besides the U.S. Senate, it's the most exclusive club, good old boys club, and the Senate isn't even a good old boys club anymore. But the owners of NFL football teams, they made millions and millions and millions before the players made millions and millions and millions. They had to really, took in baseball, a guy like Kurt Flood, on and on. Some of these guys that really broke new ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break here. We'll talk a little green and gold. We'll talk some Brewers baseball as well with spring training in full swing. Brewers had a split day yesterday, back at it today. We'll hit that up coming up after these quick words. About 25 past the hour. Right now, we've got a couple picks here. Our good buddy Craig, Mr. Craig Toyson, tweeting saying, probably no coincidence that it's the most famous franchises of the sports: Yankees, Lakers, Golds, not the yellows that they wear now, Cowboys, Canadians. For me, I'd say the Cards, Packers, Knicks, and Red Wings.
Yeah, I never thought about hockey, but yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, that's an iconic uniform too. And the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks with that big Chief Blackhawk on the front, I remember going to Chicago Stadium once when I was a kid. It's the only professional hockey game I've ever been to. And sitting about 5 rows, Stan Mikita, Bobby Hull, Glenn Dryden. Oh, was that something else?
Man.
The old Chicago Stadium, they turn the lights off above the seats and just have lights on the rink.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time they smoked in there. So the lights on over the rink, it was just like a haze over the ice. It was iconic. I mean, you can't recreate that. It was, I'll never forget that. But the Blackhawks would be an iconic uniform too. I didn't think about hockey.
Yeah, there's some good hockey ones when you think about it. Back in the day.
The sweaters.
Sweaters, yeah. Yep. All right, let's chat a little football here. Yesterday, probably in news that didn't shock anybody, but Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network reporting, whatever you want to call it, yesterday that the Packers have engaged into trade talks with surrounding Jaire Alexander.
And the crowd goes wild.
Probably not, again, a big surprise with that. And this comes off the heels of Goody and his combine presser the other day when he was asked about Jaire potentially staying with the Packers. He gave the answer that parents give to kids when they actually mean no. We'll see. So I think when you say we'll see, yeah, you're done. You're not coming back. Anybody who's had a young kid, knows what I'm talking about. So
I think he's pretty much done that to himself, don't you think?
Yeah, I think there's frustration, obviously with the injury aspects of it, him not being able to go out there, some of the other stuff. I think it's a lot of stuff that just, you throw it all together. It's probably time for both sides to go their separate ways.
And I think at the end of the last season is where it really frustrated me. How many weeks towards the end of the season, 3 or 4 weeks in a row, Jaire Alexander, a full participant in practice on Wednesday, ran through the drills on Thursday. Game day, he can't play. So I think that, to me, was a sign of this guy's got to go. You can't put that kind of money in a guy you can't count on him at all.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to be here either.
I don't either. I don't either. The fact that it's out there now, if you will, as Andrew Brandt, former Packer executive, said, translation, Packers are waiting for a better offer. So I'm sure it was probably out there and maybe trying to spark the conversation or to get more talk about it. Anybody expecting a high pick, don't expect that.
I was going to say, what are you expecting?
Probably a day 3 pick.
Fifth at the best?
Yeah, 5th, 6th round. So, I mean, if you get something in return, you get something in return for him. And then you clear some cap space too. So, yeah. I mean, don't expect a 1st or 2nd round pick.
Oh, gosh,
at this point.
He's not even close to being that good a player anymore.
And I know some people are saying, well, trade him for a Myles Garrett. It's not that easy. There's other factors.
They'd want a bag of footballs more than they'd want Jaire Alexander.
But, that's it's not Madden or fantasy football where you can, kind of do it based off that. It's a lot of other, cap situations, dead money. I mean, there's more to it. So lower the expectations if you have a high expectation of return and what you're going to get for Jaire Alexander. It's probably going to be a day 3 pick at best.
Yeah, and you can't deny the kid had talent. And I say had in the past tense, because I don't think his talent is there anymore. I don't think his desire is there anymore. I just don't think there's a lot of market for Jaire Alexander.
I think the one maybe a little bit of hope that you could get a decent pick. Remember, Goody was able to get a 4th round pick for Clinton Dix when he traded him to the Commanders. So maybe, but again, I don't know. It's whatever the value is from the other 31 teams that may have an interest. Not every team's going to have an interest in him either. So
maybe Charlotte will want him home.
The Panthers, yeah. So, but That's
Carolina, I mean.
Yeah, so it's out there again. Not that big of a surprise, I don't think, but just the fact that now you got that it's out there that the Packers are shopping. I think that just if there was a small percentage chance of him coming back, that is completely shut. Now I think it's completely done.
Would they be smarter taking like a 5th or 6th round draft choice versus a player? Because I don't know when you're talking that what kind of player would come in and be able to even make the roster, let alone contribute.
Yeah.
I think you got to take a draft pick.
I think you take a draft pick because, yeah, what type of player, realistically, what type of player would you get in return? Because then you're going to factor in, contracts. I don't know if it could be something. I'm just spitballing here. It wouldn't happen this way. I don't know if it'd be something like, ship him to the Jets and get Devontae in return, and figure out that's a whole lot of math that I don't even want to pretend to try to figure out, because you can't take Devontae at his current contract, which is like $35 million per year. I wouldn't even want Devontae for that. So there's a lot of stuff.
Something else I wanted to bring up this morning, because I just heard it. The ratings of the players.
Oh, the NFLPA credit card,
their
report
own
card, yeah.
The Dolphins and the Vikings are the best teams to play for as far as how they treat the players, how they treat the families, and those sorts of things, off the field issues. And I was wondering, all I saw was the Vikings and the Dolphins were voted the best, but I don't know who was voted the worst. Oh, the Jets were voted the worst. I know that. But in between, where do teams like the Packers and how the coaches treat the players and the administration treats the players and the families and on and on. I don't know what do they rate every team?
Yes. So I got it here. And there's a bunch of different categories here. So like overall average wise, Green Bay finished 7th.
No, that's not bad.
Actually they dropped because they were 3rd last year
overall.
Wow. But they got a bunch of different categories, and so I'll just give you the letter grades for this. Treatment of families, the Packers got a B. This was something that popped up last year too, and it was the same one. No daycare for kids during the games, and the Packers are like one of 3 franchises that don't do that.
Why wouldn't they do that? My goodness.
I don't know.
That's a no-brainer.
Food and dining area, they got an A-. Nutritionist and dietitian, A-. Locker room, B. This was another one from last year where the players feel like there's enough space, but maybe needs more updating, up-to-date sort of stuff, but that's a player thing. Training room's an A-. Training staff's a B. Weight room, A-, weight room, A, excuse me. Strength coaches, B. Let me scroll on over to the other ones. So where did I leave at? Training, strength coaches was a B. Team travel, Packers A-. Head coach A-. Ownership A-. Those were nothing lower than a B for the Packers. Some teams did get F- in some categories.
The Packers?
No. I said some teams did. Lowest grade the Packers ever got was a B.
Must be the Jets, because they were rated the lowest of all those teams.
Commanders got an F in locker room. Let me just.
Well, they've had stadium issues out in Washington forever, and they had old RFK that they played in, and now they moved someplace else. But I've never seen the facility or know what it's all about. But I can't imagine the Bears got a whole lot of high ratings for Soldier Field.
Well, let's kind of go through it here. So treatment of families, 2 teams got Fs. Jacksonville got an F. The Bengals got an F-.
Wow.
Food and dining area, 1 team got an F. The Bengals. Nobody got lower than a C for nutrition. 4 teams got Fs for locker rooms. Commanders, Denver, Cleveland got an F-. The Cardinals got an F-.
Arizona, now that's a relatively new franchise, or since they moved out from St. Louis. Wow, to have an F.
Patriots got an F for weight room. Then let's go strength coaches. Nobody got an F. Team travel, Buffalo Bills F-. Philadelphia Eagles F. Patriots F. I was reading that their team plane, the players were saying there's still ashtrays in the armrest. That's how old it is. I was just thinking of the movie Major League when they got that plane and they're duct taping like the propeller and such.
Oh yeah.
And then ownership, actually, the Jets got an F. Carolina got a D-. The Cardinals got a D-, and the Patriots got a D with Robert Kraft. So,
well, I tell you,
Steelers even got a D.
Yeah, well, they've got a lot of money. Some will reinvest it in the team. Others take it for the good life, and that's what Kraft. He doesn't care whether. I mean, these guys own these things. And what is Dallas? I thought Dallas, the way Jerry Jones took that for what he bought that. I saw he bought that for $120 million, and now it's worth $10 billion. I mean, that's put a little value in your property. That's for sure.
Yeah, overall they were 10th.
Dallas was.
Dallas was. Their lowest one came from training room and training staff grades, and those were C's for both. And there are some comments, player comments and such. Players praised for the Packers. The biggest praise, it looks like, was team culture, and gave high remarks in dining, weight room, and training room. Per the survey, the most common area that players feel is in need of improvement is a locker room. While space is sufficient, players believe it should be renovated and upgraded.
It's interesting. You talk the weight room and that area is up there, but then the strength coaches that work in there are only getting B's. I'm surprised about that. That can't make the strength coaches very happy with the response they're getting from the players or their efforts.
This is what players had to and some of these rankings too, it's like, you got a lot of teams that may have like A's in that or B's, but there's so many. So you look at like head coach got an A-, but he's ranked 20th out of 32. But it's like a lot of coaches had 20 or, they're tied up.
Who's ranked as the best coach?
Let me bring it back up here. Scroll on over.
Because I would think Campbell from Dan Campbell from Detroit. Every time he's a player's coach, and he's this
1, 2, 3,
everything
4,
else.
5, 6. So 6 teams got A+.
Okay.
Washington with Dan Quinn, Atlanta, Raheem Morris, Minnesota with O'Connell, Andy Reid, Kansas City, Mike McDonald at Miami, and then Dan Campbell A+. Pittsburgh A, Arizona A, San Francisco A. This is why it's like you got a lot of teams with A's and A-. The team that had the lowest 3 C's, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and Chicago. Well, 2 of the 3 have new coaches this year. So, but in terms of the head coach, the players' comments, players feel that LaFleur is moderately receptive to locker room feedback on the team's needs. 93% of the players feel their head coach, Matt LaFleur, is efficient with their time. And then for ownership, Mark Murphy's average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities is a 9.22 out of 10. Players feel that he significantly contributes to a positive team culture and feel that Murphy is extremely committed to building a competitive team. So,
yeah, and there's no such thing as a perfect workplace. So, I think that those are pretty good ratings. But I congratulate the Cowboys, or not the Cowboys, but the Dolphins and the Vikings for being the top 2.
Yeah, I know Vikings were, I think, 2 or 1 last year. It was because I remember last year's report card. The Chiefs, I think, were F's. Actually, had a couple F's or really low grades. One was locker room, and I think one was actually strength coaches or training staff. They got.
Well, I'll tell you, when you drive from here and drive to the airport in Minneapolis, and you go by that facility that the Vikings have built over there.
Maybe some people wave at it differently depending on your fan base.
Oh, I think it's a
it's a joke.
No,
I
know, I know it, but I mean that's a state-of-the-art facility, and I mean, started with that big building and all the. I don't know what's in it. I'd love to go through
center,
see what's in there. But then the practice fields and I think they let high school teams play on Friday night football over there. I mean, it's a unbelievably nice looking facility, and Green Bay doesn't have anything like Packers don't have anything like that, but they put some money into that facility.
Yeah, owners, Dolphins A+, Vikings A+, Atlanta A+. Again, a lot of A's and A- on this for owners. So.
Well, you look at that, and who's the owner of the Vikings? How much do you see him in the news? Right. You don't. Same thing with Murphy. You don't really see him in the news outside of the fact that, we follow him, but, he's more interested in
the news now for the tush push.
Well, yeah, I know that, but building that Packer city over there.
Titletown, yeah.
Titletown district, and, improving the project or improving the franchise is what they're doing over there. So,
And
but
honestly, that's for him being not the owner, but like the president. That's honestly like I feel like people that's his priority is like expanding the franchise and trying to come up with other revenues. It's
mhm.
not overseeing rosters or anything like that. It's more of the business side of stuff.
Yeah, I think Gutekunst is probably involved more than most general managers because of the fact of the structure of the team.
He's the football guy.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
football czar of that franchise, and that's why when they before they hired Goody, everybody in NFL said it's the most attractive job for general managers because you don't have that owner above you.
No, and Murphy was Murphy played in the NFL himself.
He was
So
an
he,
athletic director at Northwestern.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so he understands
Mhm.
athletics. He's not he's a businessman athlete or athlete businessman, however you want to slash it. But so I think he hired people he can trust to
Mhm.
keep that franchise strong.
Yep. I agree. Well, we'll be talking about his legacy. We were talking about legacy with Giannis
Hmm.
coming in summer. I'm sure there's some fans that are upset with Murphy now, but I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, the last two presidents of Bob Harlan and Mark Murphy have done a pretty darn good job with that franchise.
Oh, there's no question about it. Yep. I mean, you look at how many years the Packers. It's frustrating we don't have more Super Bowls with Favre
Hmm.
and Rodgers as the quarterbacks. But you look at how many years they've been competitive versus a lot of other teams in that league. It's been a pretty good franchise to follow.
And I
And
know,
I followed it since the early '60s, so I've seen a lot of success and not many down years. The '70s, early '80s, that was about it.
yeah, and I know there are a lot of fans that one of their gripes right now with the Packers is that it's gotten a little too corporate. And I understand that in a lot of aspects, but I also feel like it's 2025 and
Yeah.
that's just the
And
times have changed.
that would be my comment about the Packers too.
Mhm.
It's gotten too corporate. Fans want to see you win on the football field. Fans want Super Bowls.
Mhm.
Title town means nothing to the fans.
Mhm.
It really doesn't. You're making how many millions of dollars, yeah, but you're not putting it into got your salary cap to deal with, but you're not putting into players and things like that.
Yeah.
They're not upside down as far as the salary cap like some teams are, and some fans are saying, well, get upside down and bring in players here that can win. And so that's the frustration. I don't care how long you've been following the Packers or any team. You want your team to win, and the
Mhm.
Packers have had with those two quarterbacks, they've had what every team is envious of. One of the best quarterbacks in football, and you're not winning Super Bowls. That's the frustration.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would, with the title town and all that sort of stuff, I mean, that's a way for them to invest in the facility stuff, like upgrading maybe locker rooms when it gets to that point, the income that way.
But the
So,
one
but
thing about the Packers, the way they're owned, I don't know if the people that own it, not like you and I that have this piece of paper we hang on the wall, but the people that absolutely own the team and have shares in that team, I don't know if they've ever taken a dividend. Everything goes right back into the franchise. So it's not like they got to worry about where their next dollar is coming from.
mhm.
They want to build something, they go ahead and build it. They don't have to worry about money.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, they got separate funds
Yeah, I know
for
they
all
do,
that
but I
too.
mean,
So,
and those funds always have money in them.
yeah. All right, we got to do a little receiver defer. We'll take a quick break and be back to finish up the second hour after these quick words. All right, last call for any questions for our DNR warden buddy, Jake Bolks. He'll be joining us at 8:30, answering your questions and doing a little outdoor chat with us. Got the deadline for ice shanties coming up, but hopefully with the weather, you've gotten them off. Who knows with some of the ice levels
What is
out there.
March 1st in some of the waters around here?
Yeah. So, but with the weather, maybe you were smart to get it off right away with all that melting going on here too. So, but we'll talk to Jake about that and more coming up at about 8:30. But if you have a question, text them on in right now so we can get those to Jake. Let's do some receiver defer as we finish up the second hour here. I've got a couple, but I'll start with you. What do you got?
All right, let's talk along and talking kind of about the Packers with this draft coming up. Receiver defer, and I hate to even have to bring this up with all the drafts we've had in the past few years, but drafting defense is more urgent than drafting offense.
Receive.
Isn't it a shame with all the players we've drafted over the past few years have been defense, and we're still not there yet?
Yeah. I think I think this year it's going to be defense again. So
yeah, I think so too. Where do you think it'll be, in the backfield or the front seven?
It's going to depend on if they do anything in free agency.
Well, that's true too.
If they sign a defensive lineman or edge rusher, then I think they focus maybe on corner with their first pick, or depending on what they do in free agency, I think is going to be a big determinant.
And then you got 2 first-round draft choices on the edges, Gary and Van Ness, and you're still talking about maybe having to draft another rusher from the outside. It's too bad. They're not living up to draft number 1 as first-rounders. Receiver defer. The Rams would be nuts to let Stafford go and sign Aaron Rodgers.
Receive.
I can't imagine what they would be thinking of.
You know, I don't know if they're like, all 50 million. I mean, but if you do it for 2 years and 100, I'd still rather have Matthew Stafford for 2 years than Aaron Rodgers for 1.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the way they're thinking. I know it's only one-sided, where there was a report that Rodgers is interested in going to the Rams. Well, no crap, Rodgers would be interested in going to
California.
The Rams. Yeah, and Rams are a decent team. So, yeah, of course, he'd rather go there than probably Tennessee or something like that.
But how much would Aaron Rodgers be in the driver's seat as far as those negotiations? I mean, I'd say, we'll give you $25 million if you want to come, and that's it. I wouldn't give him any more than that.
Isn't it? I was thinking about this yesterday, and just kind of, comparing it to like Brady at the end of his career, where when Brady called it a career, you had teams like still trying to get him to play. And you look at Rodgers right now, who's younger than when Brady was at that time, and it's like, the one I saw some Pro Football Talk tweet us out, the juiciest rumor that was going around at the combine is that Rodgers reached out to the Giants. How desperate you got to be to play one more year and go play for the Giants. And it's like the fall of grace.
Oh yeah,
it's unreal right now.
Yeah, and I can't imagine he could earn or deserve or demand a high price salary.
Yeah,
I mean, $25 million is max that I would go, and I think that's pretty generous.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see what happens. Receiver defer. The Lakers are now among the top 4 teams in the NBA.
I hate to say this, but I might receive it.
I was thinking the same thing, and I thought too that they can get healthy and get these guys in there. I think Luka's going to make LeBron a better player.
That is looking like a win so far for the Lakers with that trade. I mean, Davis got hurt after his first or second game already.
He's out for another 30 days or something like that.
Something like that. And I know everybody Charles Barkley was praising the Mavericks, saying, they're going to be a top 2 team now. And I'm like, looking at the Lakers, that thing's working. And I think part of it, though, too, is that you probably got a pissed off Luka, motivated Luka on top of it. And, triple-double against his former team the other nights, it's pretty darn good. So,
yeah, I think they're going to be heard from in the playoffs before it's over, because I think Denver is going the other way. I don't think Phoenix is a factor in the West. Oklahoma City, yes, but I don't think the Warriors are, even with Jimmy Butler coming in there, they're riding that little temporary high that you always get for something like that.
Rockets are still really young, I think. Memphis, I mean, they've been up there before, but again, how much do you trust? I
think the Lakers are smiling right now. They're in pretty good shape. So those are some of the things I was thinking about.
Yeah. Receiver defer. Diana Taurasi announcing she's retiring. Is she the GOAT of women's basketball?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to say so. She's won championships. She's won Olympic medals. I think she's won 4 Olympic medals. 6 gold medals. Well, so she's been around a long time. Yeah, you'd have to say so. Yeah, she'd definitely be on the Mount Rushmore of women's basketball.
I was looking at this. I have it up. This is some of the. I'm not going through everything she's won because it's
No,
ridiculous.
yeah.
But 2004 Athens gold, 2008 Beijing, 2012 London, 2016 Rio de Janeiro, 2020 Tokyo, 2024 Paris, 6 golds.
Yep.
She's won 3 national championships, a couple of college players of the year. She's won 3 WNBA championships, 2-time finals MVP, only one MVP once though in the WNBA, 11-time All-Star, 10-time all first team WNBA, 4 other times she was second team. I mean, you look through this whole list and it's like, holy crap. And she played for a long time at a high level too.
Yeah, I mean, she just didn't hang on. She was competitive right up until the end, still one of the best to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I applaud her. I think she's...
And that's not even going through her Euro, because she played across seas too, and dominated that over there with the Euro League.
Yeah,
and that.
She was special, that's for sure.
And we were talking about, players staying on one team. Her whole WNBA career with one team, Phoenix Mercury.
Yep.
2004 to 2024. Her rookie year was when I graduated high school. So
yeah, and I remember her playing at Connecticut.
Yeah.
And those Connecticut teams,
gosh, yeah,
they were brutally good.
Mm-hmm.
Brutally good. So I think she deserves all the accolades she can get. And how does that work with women in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame? Are they in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There was this,
I think she'll be a first ballot.
Oh, I think she's safe.
I think so.
This one line too, with when she was at UConn, after they lost the 2001 Final Four loss to Notre Dame, Diana Taurasi vowed, "We will not lose another tournament game while I'm wearing this uniform." They proceeded to win 3 straight national titles and 18 straight tourney wins. Leading up to the final championship, her coach, Gino Auriemma, would declare his likelihood of winning with the claim, "We have Diana and you don't." Worked out pretty well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and she was, and the thing is, to be that dominant and not be a big player in women's basketball,
mm-hmm.
not be under the basket. I think, that says an awful lot about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, I mean, when I was a youngster and it was, the Olympics before WNBA started, the 2 main ones that when I was a young one I knew was Rebecca Lobo and Lisa Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
2 centers, two taller ones. And yes, you had Cheryl Swoops and that mix in there. But yeah, Diana Taurasi, point guard, and backcourt. So yeah, I'd say she's got my vote for.
Oh, absolutely.
Easily the most decorated.
Well, I think she's the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any debate on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She's the GOAT of women's basketball.
Yep. So that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people. I think, like she called it a career, but that's definitely the best in my opinion. So, and we've seen a lot of good ones too, not to take any. Maybe Caitlin Clark. Will she end up being
a long way to go.
Yeah.
She's a shooter. She's known as a scorer. I don't know if she's noted so much as being a winner. She didn't have the players around her at Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to be a good one. I don't know. It's interesting to see how this will work out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she'll be as decorated as Diana Taurasi's.
And it's almost like there's a bias against her.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason she shouldn't have been on that Olympic team.
Right.
I mean, that still is going to be a burr under a lot of people's saddle, including mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a bias against her.
I do too. Did you have one more?
I did. I was just thinking as we were talking about it. Receiver to fur. You like the way the game is going towards calling balls and strikes with the machines.
The ABS system?
Yeah.
I am curious about it because, and I know Luke and I were talking about it a little bit, like I'm curious about it with the players having to challenge it and such.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was watching some of it on MLB Network with some of the games, and I'm glad they do the video kind of like they do in tennis, that sort of thing. So still early, but I'm definitely a little open to it. Because I think there's got to be, I'm waiting for the hothead to happen in that. So
I guess I'm a little and I'm not for it or against it, I guess, but I'm getting a little nervous about taking the human aspect out of these games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now in basketball, they can challenge a foul call and things like that. I guess, why do we have officials? And if we're going to take the power away from or second guess them, I can see where guys and gals that are officiating would say, that's not why I got into the game. I don't want to be second guessed and all that sort of stuff. So,
well, I think that's where it comes us to fans and players. We got to stop criticizing them all the time.
oh, absolutely.
I think a lot of this is the push because what's, on a Monday morning after a football game, when some leading topics are like, yep, the officials screwed up that play. If we didn't talk about it as much, I don't think we're at this.
And it has happened. The officials have screwed up the calls. I mean, I still go back to the football game.
Rams or Saints.
Yes.
Pass interference.
That was, I mean, anybody that ever watched a football game could have made that call.
Yeah.
And so that, that's a situation where, you need it. But for that one bad call versus the hundreds of others that are, good calls or the right call, do you throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and bring in machines to do everything?
Well, look what happened right after that. They decided that year, we're going to review pass interferences and all that. It was just a mess.
Yeah,
it was. Mess. So,
but I like where they've got the beams along the goal line to see is the ball in or is the ball not in. Some of those things I think are good because fish can get lost in the the bodies that are falling around and.
Well, it was so with the NFL. It was yesterday. I think Troy Vincent said that starting this upcoming season, the NFL is expected to replace the first down chains with the Hawkeye virtual measurement system. So,
but it's still where that ball is spotted.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that game, what football game in the playoffs where one guy had him had Buffalo a first down.
Mm-hmm.
And then then they moved it back, and they didn't get the first down. Kansas City got the ball. That probably changed how that game was going to end up. But I don't want to be a world of machines.
I'll save my last one because we got less than a minute till I get cut off here. So I'll save my last one for lead off the final hour here. So, all right, coming up next hour again, final call for any questions for our DNR warden buddy Jake. Otherwise, we got a few to get to with him. He's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Then we'll get to some baseball talk, too, with the Brewers spring training. It was a split game yesterday. They'll be back at it today. Aaron Savali is going to make his debut for the Brewers for the first time this spring. So we'll chat a little Brewers baseball as spring training continues to roll right along. And tomorrow, Freddie Peralta will make his spring training debut, too. So it's looking ahead a little bit there. All right, 2 in, 1 more to go. Got some news updates, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Final hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning, coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios. I'm going to talk with our DNR warden buddy, Mr. Jake Bilks, coming up at the bottom of the hour. Lots going on in the outdoor world, so we'll catch up with Jake in just a little bit. Thank you to all of you who have sent in some questions and that. We'll talk some Brewers baseball here in just a little bit. I just saw this too, kind of a little bit of a local attachment. Former Blue Gold head football coach, and well, he was a former player too, but not that long ago, former head football coach Dan Larson promoted at North Dakota State to offensive coordinator. It was just announced last night. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a pretty good program to be associated with.
Congrats to Coach Larson there. But my receiver defer, I don't know how much of a movie person you are, but Gene Hackman passed away.
Oh, yeah. Saw that.
Receiver defer is Hoosiers, the best basketball movie of all time. I love Hoosiers.
So did I. I would go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would go with that just because, it wasn't just a basketball movie. It was a basketball story.
Yeah.
That community in Indiana and Indiana basketball. Yeah, I could go with that. There haven't been many iconic basketball movies.
You're right, because the other day,
a lot of them are documentaries.
Yeah, or the other day, like Hudson wanted to watch a basketball movie, and I'm like, there really isn't a whole lot of like kid besides Space Jam, or Air Bud or something like that.
Yeah.
But and it's like, but I mean, Hoosiers are two things that stand out to me in that movie. That's my team out there when he just has the 4.
Yeah,
and then when they go to the state one, gets the tape measure out, 10 feet high, everything's the same. I was like, those are the two things I love about that movie. Standing out.
And he was an outstanding actor. I don't know. More's got to come out. They said,
yeah, him and his wife and a dog.
And no suspicious circumstances. Well, I'm sorry, but there is something suspicious about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But it's just too bad. He's 95 years old. But I'll tell you, he was a good actor. I mean, he was a tough guy when the movies he was in. I mean, the French Connection, that's when I saw him the first time. And he was in other movies and TV shows. And he didn't do much comedy.
No.
He's a pretty serious, tough guy.
One of them it was what's another sports one, The Replacements, the football one where he was a football coach, Keanu Reeves in that movie. And
he's a pretty tough football coach too.
Yep. But yeah, I think Hoosiers is probably my favorite basketball movie of all time.
I think so too.
I love that movie. I might have to watch it.
It's a great, because like I said, it's a great story besides a great movie. I think you did a nice job with it.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, 95 years old, passed away.
I'm thinking in Wisconsin, you got to be an old guy like me to think about, could you do the movie like that in Wisconsin about a small town team? And I go back to 1964. And if anybody's old enough to remember 1964 in Wisconsin, when we had one basketball tournament, every school was in the same division. And you don't remember it, but I do. And I still remember some of the guys' names. 1964, Dodgeville won the state, and they beat Lincoln or Milwaukee North. So you talk about the little guy beating the big guy. That would be our version of Hoosiers when Dodgeville, because they finished second the year before. And they came back with, they came back and won in 63. They were 64. They won it. And I mean, to me, that would be our version of Hoosiers. If somebody's going to make, I'm trying to think of their coach, little Weenie Wilson, John Weenie Wilson, and a guy named Corky Evans was there, went on to play baseball and made a career as a minor league manager in baseball. And just so many guys, some of those guys were just farmers down around Dodgeville. But that would be, and if you put a movie together about a Hoosiers team, a Badgers team in Wisconsin, it, to me, would be the 1964 Dodgeville Dodgers won the state basketball tournament.
I like that. That's awesome. So, yeah, a couple of you saying Hoosiers definitely the best basketball movie of all. Yeah, because I mean, you really think about it. Got a ton of baseball ones.
Oh, yeah.
A ton of baseball ones. A good selection of football ones out there. A ton of boxing ones.
Oh, yeah.
But basketball is kind of
slim. Do we have any decent hockey movies?
Slapshot. is out there with Paul Newman. That one back in the day.
But not a lot.
Miracle, Mystery Alaska, Mighty Ducks, the Goat. I'm just kidding.
Mighty Ducks was a fun. that was a fun couple of movies to watch. I mean, that one little chunky guy. I mean, it was just fun to watch. Those
Goldberg.
Guys. Yeah, Goldberg. Thank you.
Man, but yeah, I'm trying to think, like, you got The White Man Can't Jump with Woody Harrelson and Snipes, but I can't watch that one with Hudson. Not at his age yet. So there's some inappropriate stuff in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, true. His girlfriend.
Oh man. Let's talk some baseball before we get to Jake here in a little bit. Yesterday we had a split squad game for the Brewers. Game one. Either one game, whatever you want to call it. Game one, Diamondbacks defeated the Brewers 7-1. Game two, they were going up against the Dodgers. Brewers lost that one 9-3. Carlos Rodriguez struggling a little bit in command with that game. But Garrett Mitchell showed off his power, hit a home run in that game. Cooper Pratt got a couple more at bats too. I know a lot of people, after we were talking about him the other day, the young shortstop who was lighting it up against the Guardians the other day. So
I'm really anxious to see Mitchell this year. I really hoping he can stay healthy.
Yeah, and I think they're counting on him to help fill that power void left by Willy Adames. He's been batting 3 or 4 in these spring training games and such. So, the biggest thing for him is just, can he stay healthy, because he's been dealing with those injuries.
Has Yelich
hasn't played yet, but he's been doing BP and hitting and all that. So he just hasn't made his debut yet. But
and what was I reading? Who was the guy that got hurt during batting practice? How do you hurt yourself in batting practice? One of the Brewers or some guy, I don't know what he did, but got hurt in batting practice, and he's out for a while. I don't know. Gone through batting practice a few times, but I've never.
Oh, were you there with Blake Perkins?
Yeah.
I think he hit a foul ball off his shin, so he fractured his shin. So, but 7 to 10 weeks.
Oh my
fractured
goodness!
His leg.
What a freak accident that is.
Yeah, but that led to Brewers bringing in Mark Canha, even though that he's going to be primarily a DH and first baseman option over there. But
he had some good at bats for the Brewers when he was here a couple of years ago.
Yep. Yeah, I did, including that big time grand slam.
I was there for that game.
Were you there for that one?
I was there.
Nice.
I was there when he hit that ball out.
I know, again, we chatted a little bit about the other day, but Jackson Cheerio's been getting playing time at every outfield spot, including center field just the other day.
I think it was interesting. Murphy, he said, Cheerio in center field. How come he wasn't there last year? Because he couldn't catch. He couldn't catch a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's being brutally honest. But he's obviously a young kid, and he's coming on, and he's just going to get better.
Yep. So definitely, Pat Murphy made a really good comment too before the game he started in center field. He's like, last year he couldn't even catch a ball.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He said he didn't catch.
Yeah, and so the fact that he looked, when I was watching the game, because that game was on TV against the Guardians on MLB Network, he looked, he made a play on a line drive ball and such. He looks more natural out there, more comfortable out there, and it just comes with reps.
Yeah.
So, we've been talking about left field, who's going to play left field, but if Cheerio they can feel comfortable putting him in different spots, that's going to make it easier.
Well, I think the Brewers have potential to have one of the best outfields in baseball. If Yelich can play it all, and, you got Mitchell, and you got Cheerio, and you got, what's his name in right field, kid from Boston that drafted a couple years ago. I can't say, why can't I say his name? But anyway, I think they've got some really good outfield potential to just get better and better.
Definitely a lot of young youth potential. Sky's the limit for those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm, the whole Sal Frelick that
Frelick, that's the kid I'm trying to think of.
25 pounds of muscle, which is, I don't know if that's going to lead into anything, but
I don't
know. I'd maybe some more power there, but who knows? But so there's
maybe he's going to be a linebacker. Who knows?
But have you been kind of following a little bit on spring training?
A little bit
on there? Yeah.
I don't
hard
get too excited about it, but because they talk about the pitchers. Well, I think spring training is for pitchers more than anybody else to get their rhythm down, finish working on these new pitches. And I don't get too excited about spring training. I really don't. I like to see them play, and I like to see them hit. And I've been to some spring training games, and they're fun. But and truth be told, they're not all that serious. They're out there to improve and get better, and this, that, and the other thing. But again, it's spring training, and you got to take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. So it's just, you gotta. I hope people aren't overreacting too much by like these scores, like yesterday, losing 7-1 and then 9-3, and that.
Because if you go to spring training games, you go out there and you watch, and there are guys out there playing catch along the foul line from the game's going on, and the left fielder talking to somebody, and then there are people sitting behind them in the center field, grass area, and it's a relaxed way to watch baseball, and it accomplishes what it's trying to do, get these guys in better shape, although they come in good shape. But I think for the pitchers, to get them in game, because you can pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch, but until you're hitting a pitch into a batter in a meaningful situation, like a spring training game, how much you pitch in the off season, you get a lot of throws in and you build up your muscles, but until you throw to batters, that's when it starts to count.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of the, if you've been watching or listening, they're interviewing the pitchers, and a common thing you hear from pitchers, like, I was trying to work on this sort of pitch in this outing. And, that's, at least initially, that's what these guys are doing in these first few weeks. Then last week or so, it kind of just dials in.
Be interesting to see Peralta, how many innings he goes. I can't imagine he's going to go
probably like one
inning or two. I think Corbin Burns pitched, did he pitch 2 innings against the Brewers yesterday or whenever it was? I don't, these guys, they know what they can do. It's just a matter of making sure they're in shape to do it when the bell rings in April.
I'm bringing up the box score from that game, because the Dodgers one was on the radio yesterday. Burns pitched 2. He pitched 2 innings. So, maybe.
I never did see how much of a contract he signed. How big a deal did he get?
Let me bring it up.
It never was in the news that I saw. It just said Corbin Burns has agreed to terms with the Arizona Diamondbacks, which
6 years, $210 million.
Good for him.
Yep. So, but Brewers will be back at it today. This game will not be on the radio. It's not our decision. It's whatever the Brewers do. So don't yell at us if it's not on the radio. But they'll be back at it today, 2:10, taking on the Royals, Kansas City Royals. As we mentioned, Aaron Savali will make his spring training debut for the Crew today. So I know the other day we had Jacob Mizorowski, the young pitcher that a lot of people are excited about. He touched 99 miles per hour, a little bit off on the command. That's the thing too. And I'm not saying this is Mizorowski, but I saw this video yesterday, and we've talked about this before with other baseball people, but I think it was a 15-year-old. I don't know where. It was just a random social media video. But they were like, this 15-year-old's throwing 90 miles an hour or whatever. It was up there. And I'm watching this, and the thing's like, who's going to hit off this kid? You want to know where the locations were? I mean, the catcher was standing up to try to catch him and reach him and over. I'm like, but guy might not have to swing the bat. He's still going to get on base.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's like, it's that great. They're throwing that hard. But that catcher was like, he had a workout moving around trying, because the command and the location was completely off on that thing. And I think, I know we've talked like with Dale and those guys, it's like, it's all about throwing hard for a lot of these pitchers, and they're not focused on the location, the command right now. And it's kind of, I get it. It's like hitting the home run ball, chicks dig the long ball. People like, pitchers throwing hard, but if you can't be accurate with it, what's the point?
Yeah, that's true. And it's, it's so much of the sports now for young kids, it's flash. Like AAU basketball. Who can shoot the farthest away, the 3-point shot from 30 feet, and it's not whether or not you can make a basket when it counts, but every once in a while you can throw in a 30-footer, 3-pointer, and same thing with pitching. Who can throw it the hardest? Well, you might not be able to hit the side of a barn with it, but you can throw it hard, and it's a different world. It's all about the flash nowadays.
It's Ricky Vaughn, right? Throwing it all hard, and until he gets the glasses and finally has some control or command on it. But I saw that video and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, that's awesome, 15-year-old throwing, but that catcher was just all over the place. I felt bad for the catcher putting in a workout to try to catch those things. So, but notice that too. Let's catch up on a couple texts, shall we? It's more of the Hoosier stuff. Yeah, okay, that's all Hoosiers love. That's what the fans are voting for. Hoosiers are the best one. Bucks wise, they're back in action tonight, taking on the Nuggets. You mentioned the Nuggets a little bit earlier about maybe a team that they're still in the playoff hunt, but maybe not playing as well as I think people expected them to this year.
Now when they were back-to-back champs here a couple of years ago, I don't think people expect they will be. I mean, they got a great team with, the Joker and
who just had 19 assists the other night.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
Yeah, but
unreal.
He plays the game different than any other big man in the game. He's a different type of guy and effective, and he makes the other guys around him better. And when they're playing well, they're very good. But I just don't think they're quite as good as they were 2, 3, 4 years ago when they were back-to-back champions. I just think some of these other teams are starting to creep up on them. But they're still good.
They're still good. So it'll be tonight's games at 7 p.m. It sounds like Giannis is going to play. He's probable. The thing is, too, you go back to that Rockets game. It's kind of frustrating because they lose 100-97. The Rockets only scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. Bucks scored only 12 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was a shame.
And Dame did not have a good, like, you look at it, he's like, oh, yeah, 22 points, but you watch the game or listen to the game. I mean,
he threw up some wild shots.
Yeah. And that's my concern when we get to like postseason and such. Dame's a great player, but there are times he goes through really cold, rough stretches because he's an outside shooter. And
but he makes poor, when you watch him, he's making poor decisions a lot of times. I mean, he's out of control throwing up a shot, or he just, he comes down and throws up a shot before the offense is even set. He does make some poor decisions. He's a great player, and I mean, he can really shoot it. But I think sometimes not a lot, but once in a while he loses his focus. And the offense pays the price.
And that's what, kind of my concern would be in the postseason. You get into a game like that, who's going to be the next guy to kind of fill in that offensive void? I don't know if it's Kuzma. I don't know if we've seen enough. I mean, defensively, he's been really good so far. Numbers have shown that, since he's been with the Bucks and that. But if Dame's off, who's going to be that next guy?
Yeah, and you don't have Portis now, and you're not going to have him back till about the last 3 or 4 games of the season and I don't know whether that was a lame brain move on his part or was an accident or what happened. I don't know, but the bottom line is he's gone, and he's not going to be back until the playoffs. So maybe the rest will make him better. I don't know, but they've got questions going into the playoffs, and losing that game to Houston the other night was not a good move.
No, that wasn't, because they had the opportunities there to get it done, and they didn't do that. Looking at quick standings here as we're kind of entering that final quarter of the regular season for the NBA. You got OKC in front in the West, and it's a comfortable lead for OKC in the Western Conference. I mean, they're just kind of on cruise control, 9 games ahead of both Memphis and Denver. Memphis is the second spot. Denver right now is 3. Houston's at the 4 seed, which I think is one of those teams a lot of people are surprised. Like Houston, they're the 4 seed. Lakers are 5, but they're 8-2 in their last 10. Clippers are 6. You got the Timberwolves sitting in the 7th seed. Golden State 8, Dallas 9, Kings 10. Phoenix really struggling. They're 3 games out from that final spot in the postseason.
Did the Timberwolves make the right move?
Don't look like it right now, does it?
For what's his name?
Julius Randle.
When they made that trade, I thought, well, Cat's a lot better than Julius Randle. And I don't know. It's not working out, I don't think, the way they wanted it to, obviously.
Yeah. And then in the Western or Eastern Conference, you've got Cleveland still up there. I mean, they just continue to roll. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 8 in a row. They're 6.5 up on Boston. Boston's 8-2 in their last 10, though. Knicks winners last night. They're in the 3rd spot. Indiana's currently at the 4th spot. Bucks are 5th, 1 game back from Indiana for that 4th spot. And another team that's surprising, and they're right there with the Bucks. Bucks just have a very slim percentage point advantage. Detroit's in the 6th
8 in a
spot.
row.
Yeah, Detroit's playing incredibly well too. So they're right on the heels of the Bucks. And then you got to drop from the top 6 to the 7 through 10. Orlando's at 7, Miami 8, Atlanta 9, Chicago at number 10.
Yeah, maybe that Detroit coach will be the coach of the year because nobody expected him to be this good, but they've done well. Question, I was thinking as we were talking about all these teams, how much of an attraction would it be across the country if it was the Lakers and the Cavs in the finals with LeBron?
The LeBron series,
coming back to Cleveland for the NBA championship. I would think that would draw some attention, the Lakers versus the Cavs. And the Cavs have been surprising too, just like Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would. You know, you mentioned it's actually kind of funny though too. You mentioned the coach for Detroit. Remember, he was Cleveland's coach last year, and he got fired. And a lot of people were like, "Why are you fired?" You know, he hooks up to Detroit. Well, Cleveland's a top seed this year, so it might have been a move that worked out well for both parties.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens by accident, but it happens. But I was just sitting there thinking, no, what the Lakers and Cleveland, wouldn't that be an interesting finals?
It would be. Actually. I never thought of that, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a quick break, and we got to get Jake on here, so we'll do some outdoor chats with him. He's coming up in just a few minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
An evening with legendary comedian Jeff Foxworthy.
But they have a rule in my neighborhood. If you walk your dog and your dog does his business in somebody else's yard, you need to get a little plastic bag, pick it up, and dispose of it. So you drive through my neighborhood and there's all these attractive women walking around with poo-poo purses.
Jeff Foxworthy Live. Saturday, March 22nd, 7 p.m. The Sonnentag. On sale now at the Sonnentag box office or thesonnentag.com.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to stand out, and that's where True Green comes in. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think. They'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They will come back between visits to make it right. So don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today and let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results. Exclusions apply. See truegreen.com for details.
Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
When it comes to all of your flooring needs, the Chippewa Valley has your one-stop shop for everything you need to add some new, beautiful floor to your home. And that's Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Carpet City Flooring Center has all the latest styles and trends in the flooring business, including the popular Rigid Max flooring that you can only find at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They have the best prices in the area, and if for some reason you do find a better price elsewhere, Carpet City Flooring Center matches or beats the price. And when it comes to the team at Carpet City Flooring Center, well, you won't find anyone better to work with. Knowledgeable and caring with the goal in mind that they want to find the floor that you want, that works best in your home and works great in your budget. So go visit Carpet City Flooring Center at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and check out their website where you can check out their inventory and use their floor view option, where it allows you to see what a new floor would look like in your home. Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center, where their prices will floor you.
Get ready and save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, February 28th with Famous Dave's. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Make the backyard the place everyone wants to be. Since 1989, Swim Right Pools and Spas has helped the Chippewa Valley create unforgettable memories with custom pools, luxurious marquee spas, and everything for the perfect outdoor space. Expert in-house service covers design, maintenance, and top-quality patio essentials. Start early and enjoy the season even sooner. Beat the summer rush. Visit swimrightonline.com or call 715-834-7946. Swim Right Pools and Spas, where backyard dreams come to life.
We do it right. Swim Right.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
In our corner of Wisconsin, we tend to get overlooked sometimes by our favorite sports teams. Sure, once in a while, a local bar will get a shout out or a team tour will make a quick stop, but we are just as passionate about our Packers, Bucks, Badgers, and Brewers as everyone else. That's why we've created the 715 Fan Cave. It's a place for fans to gather and talk sports and show their love for their favorite teams. For more info, just visit sportstalk1051.com.
Time to catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin, for our outdoor chats this morning. And, well, Jake, I mean, last week we kind of alluded to it with the warmer weather coming and trails and that. Trails were open for a hot minute for snowmobilers, but a lot of them sounds like they're closed up for good probably this season too. Good morning, buddy.
Morning. Yeah, I'm not going to call myself Nostradamus this morning, but I think we all saw this coming. It's pretty brown right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, again, maybe check your counties, but I know I saw a ton of them on Facebook and social media already kind of closing up shop here too. So,
yeah, I know. You know, you can still ride on the lakes and different stuff like that if there's still snow. But around here, I mean, even that's getting pretty iffy. There's a couple spots still up in the north, way up to the north near Michigan, where you might find some trails. But I can't imagine they're going to stay open that much longer either. So looks like we're kind of starting our transition.
Mm-hmm. And then with that too, with the warmer weather, it might be, I mean, well, the deadline's this weekend too, but last weekend for permanent shacks, got to get them off the water, right?
Sunday is the last day you can have it on the ice. Once Sunday, I guess so, once Monday morning pops up, you know, if you go down to, say, Lake Altoona or something, there should be no more permanent shacks. So as a reminder, you can still go out there and fish. You can still use portable shacks or pop-up shacks or stuff like that. You can, I mean, if the ice is good enough, you can technically still pull out a permanent shack and fish out of it for a day. You just can't leave anything on the ice anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Starting Sunday night, Monday morning.
Mm-hmm. So also too, because I mean, we got spring hearings and such, and we might as well get to it because I know a lot of people we're kind of commenting on it here too. There's a lot of stuff on social media and such that potential price increase for licenses and such. And I know you don't have a say in that or anything like that, but right now it's just rumors potentially or stuff that's kind of getting floated out there.
It's all talk.
Yeah.
So an important thing to know is that this time of the year, especially coming into when the way the state works, like the whole state system, the whole state government system, is that the fiscal years run from July to July. So So from the middle of the year to the middle of the year. And then every couple of years they have like a budget, like where the governor does his budget and everything like that. So when these kind of years come where the fiscal year is resetting, there's a new 2-year budget, there's the spring hearings are coming up. Right now there's just a lot of talk amongst, the public, amongst the Conservation Congress, the Natural Resource Board, random legislators, and everyone. So everyone's talking about what they want in the coming months or the coming years. What do they want for funding? What do they want for licenses? What do they want for regulation changes and different things? So the important thing is to not get too locked in on what you see or what you hear on any given day, because the next day it could be totally cut, or someone could change the way the law is worded or the prices or anything. So right now it's a lot of talk. Some of it comes to fruition, a lot of it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a good reminder. I think I first saw it actually yesterday, and it was just getting posted everywhere, on social media and such. So, but
yeah, no, so exactly. I mean, the problem is it generates conversation, which sometimes is good because, which is good because depending on what the state needs or what the sportsmen want, it can help. But at the end of the day, like, we're a long ways away from anything. And kind of, as a reminder with the spring hearings are a great venue to go and voice your opinion on different state laws when it comes to our natural resources. It's a great place to come in and meet your local staff. So, whatever county you go to, the local wildlife biologists, fisheries biologists, wardens, forestry staff are all going to be there. Plus some of like the DNR's upper management in general will be at different meetings. So it's a great place for that. But those spring hearings are strictly what's the word? It's not informational, but it's kind of like advisory. So the state, everyone that votes is basically given their opinion on what they like with a certain law change or season change or whatever, a funding thing. They give their opinion, and depending on if the state likes it as like it's more favorable, yes, it's more favorable, no, or if it's neutral, that drives the conversation in the future years. Nothing gets solved that night. Nothing changes that night in April.
Mm-hmm. Good note there. Good note. So
a lot of people come to the meetings thinking like if they pass, a wakeboard law that it's going to go into effect the next day, or a license, a question on should we raise licenses? Does that mean everything's going to change tomorrow? That's not the case. It's just it starts a conversation, or sometimes it ends a conversation if no one supports it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jake, I know this was released just the other day, but maybe a good reminder for people too that maybe didn't hear it, but there was another CWD test. Was it Clark County that kind of was it Clark County? And even though it was close to Eau Claire, but it doesn't affect Eau Claire because they were already in a baiting ban, right?
Yeah, so it was actually I guess I don't know the address or the area that I was told was Fairchild.
Okay.
So I think it's actually technically like an Eau Claire County positive, but because Clark County is there, that's why they have to restart their ban.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I could be wrong, but either way, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that comes out of it is that Clark County is going to go back to no baiting starting this month or next month, whatever it is. It doesn't really apply to anything until September, because you can't bait for turkeys or anything anyways. But Clark County you could bait the last couple of years. Now you can't bait again.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I brought it back up. It was found in Eau Claire County, but because it was within that 10-mile border.
Yeah.
Clark County.
Yeah. So that's where I understand some of the frustration, because as someone that enforces the laws and whatnot, there's going to be some people that are very frustrated that, you can bait, now you can't bait, like, make up your mind. And it's not like the DNR is like picking and choosing. The state law, when it was changed, and how many ever years ago, probably even before I got hired, was that this is how they did it, is they did instead of just making everything no bait forever, they do this like 3-year clock once something's found. And so it just stinks that, you know, it keeps affecting Clark County in that fashion.
Speaking of hunting and bonus tags and such, you know, we flipped the calendar here this weekend, and March, if you're maybe looking for some extra tags for turkey hunting, it's going to be coming up here pretty quick. Those are going to open up, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks. There's a couple people I ran into recently that they told me they woke up and they weren't thinking about turkey hunting or they weren't thinking about spring, but you know, when they woke up to the melting snow and the sunshine and a 40-degree morning, they said like their mindset just instantly snapped to turkey. So it's coming a couple weeks from now, 2-3 weeks. I don't know calendars very well, but probably about 3 weeks will be the bonus harvest authorizations. We'll talk about it obviously as it gets closer, but it's just the same as every year. Monday's a different zone. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Every day is a different zone. You can buy one tag per day until they're sold out and all of that rigmarole. But yeah, that's coming up. So it's a good time to start thinking about renewing all your licenses, starting getting that patron's license, or start buying stuff for the upcoming spring and year.
Yeah, you're telling me, I mean, with this weather here too, I was like, not only turkey, but I'm like, I'm getting the itch for open water fishing and thinking about that too.
Yeah, I might actually go out, depending on where we're looking at a spot, and if the ice breaks up, I might be out open water fishing Saturday already. So we'll
No
see what happens.
kidding. Nice. Don't
Yeah,
reveal
it
the spot.
depends. It's a super secret spot.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Fisherman spot.
yeah, I was like, I'm looking at, you know, I remember the good old days when I would get like a Bass Pro catalog and you just circling all the lures and stuff. And now it's like, I miss those days. Now everything's
Right.
online and such.
I know. There is a little bit of satisfaction to still, you know, doing that or just going. You can get it all online or whatnot, but it is kind of nice just to go into a store sometimes and just like look at all the summer stuff or spring stuff and handle it and pick it. It's fun, but
Yep.
yeah, we'll see. I haven't put my ice fishing gear away yet. There's still going to be some ice that I want to hit with late season, but it is crazy to think like, well, my buddy's already calling saying he's got the boat ready, so
Nice.
see what happens.
Nice. All right, Jake. Hey, before I let you go, again, maybe just another reminder: if you got a permanent ice shack, you got to get it off. You know, by on Sunday, right? By Sunday.
Permanent Sunday, and then the game fish season closes on Sunday.
Okay.
So inland game fish season, your northern pike, your walleyes, your bass. Bass turns to a catch and release season then, but basically everything closes to let the fish recuperate and spawn, and it'll open back up, I think, like May 4th, I believe. So be cognizant of that when you're inland fishing. You know, there's some different rules on outlying and bordering waters that there are still some open seasons, but for the most part, if you're going to fish inland anymore, you got to be targeting fan fish.
Good notes. Remember that, everybody. All right, Jake. Hey, well, we appreciate the time as always, bud. If you do get out, be safe and best of luck, and send me some pics if you have any luck. Okay.
I will. Hopefully I catch one. That's all that matters. Just never get skunked. So no, I appreciate you having me on. It's always a fun Thursday morning. So enjoy your day too, Dan. Appreciate it.
You too, buddy. There you go. DNR warden Jake Boakes joining us as usual every Thursday morning here. Reminder, if you ever miss those combos, we have them up on podcast form too, so you can always check them out on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll take a quick break and we'll wrap it up with some picks and predicts coming up after these quick words. All right, wrapping up this Thursday morning, we got some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere to catch some of these games while enjoying a good beverage, you can head on over to the Elbow Room. Let's start off with some basketball games, the pro-wise. We've got Golden State at Orlando tonight. Who are you picking?
Golden State, I think they're still riding the bubble from Jimmy Butler being on that team, and I don't know if Orlando's a team that can burst that bubble, but I think Golden State will win that one.
I'm going to go with the Warriors. Going to go with the Warriors, too. Let's do the Pelicans at the Suns.
Pelicans, it's almost like they're off the radar with Zion Williamson. He's out again. I mean, that guy's career is over. Phoenix isn't doing much better. Boy, this is a kind of a game of also-rans, but I'll take Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm going to take Phoenix in this game, too. And then we've got the T-Wolves taking on the Lakers tonight.
I'm taking the Lakers. Where are they playing that?
L.A.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lakers. I just don't think that Timberwolves will be able to stand up. I don't know if Julius Randle, he's still not playing, is he?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I'll take the Lakers. I just think they're on a roll, too.
Do they have he's out. Rudy Gobert looks like he's out too. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So and then we got Bucks and Nuggets in Milwaukee.
Boy, oh boy. Obviously I'll be rooting for the Bucks, but I'm picking Denver. I just don't know if they can stop them. I don't know Brook Lopez can play on the Joker or how they're going to do it defensively. I just don't know. I got to take Denver.
That's a good question. How they will, because Joker's going to play on the outside.
Oh yeah.
So
and that's
Giannis
where Brook
go
plays
there?
More often than not, anyway.
Yeah. Would Giannis go? Because I know that was like the question when they will go up against the Knicks, and initially they had Brook defending Cat, and Cat just destroyed it. So I don't know if they'd go with the same philosophy. I'm gonna go Bucks at home. I'll go Bucks at home. Be a little optimistic with that pick, but why not? We'll try.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
not really a lot. I mean, there's a lot of college games, but not a lot of good ones. Not a lot of premier ones here. How about this though? They're actually favored in this game. UW Green Bay favored in a game.
Really, they haven't had a good year.
They're 3-26.
Oh, Gottlieb is
going up against Detroit Mercy, who's 8-21, but Detroit Mercy beat them earlier this year. It's in Green Bay. Who you picking?
I'll go with Gottlieb. I like Gottlieb. I mean, I think he's good on the air and he's pretty factual, and he's not pie in the sky type of guy. I think he reality. He on the air the other day. He criticized his point guard for making 2 bad plays that cost him a game. And he said, he was using it as an example for something else, but he said, I like him, and I hope he wins. I hope he stays there and brings that team back.
Well, they were trending upward last year, and they've taken a downslide this year.
I don't know why. They lost players or...
Well, a coach left, obviously, and then, 2 coaches left, their head coach and then their assistant, because now that assistant's at UW Eau Claire, so Zach Malvik.
So I don't know, but I hope so. I hope they win.
I'm going Detroit Mercy tonight.
Are they in Green Bay?
They are in Green Bay at the Resch. So
Green Bay will blow them out.
Blow out, okay. We have a Big Ten game. It's Rutgers at Michigan, though.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
Rutgers has 2 players that are supposedly going in the draft, but that's all they got. I don't know if they can't coach them or they can't adapt to the style, but I thought Rutgers would be better than they would with the 2 guys that are going to go in the draft.
I'll ask you for this one. I'm saving mine for tomorrow, though. Badgers, Michigan State on Sunday.
If the Badgers learn from that debacle against Oregon and keep the ball out of Klesmith and Crowell's hands towards the end of a game, and you didn't even hear Tanji at the end of that Oregon game, and why not? He's your best player, most dependable player, and Blackwell and McGuire, some of those other guys. Boy, that's going to be a tough one. But I'm taking the Bucks, or the Bucky Badgers. I think they can do something. Somebody's going to have to crawl into Kroll's uniform and toughen him up a little bit. But I think the Badgers can win.
All right.
It's not going to be easy.
We'll see if Max Klesmit's going to be available. He did get hurt or re-aggravated his injury against Washington, so we'll see if he's going to be available. And his 10 points per game going up against Michigan State's probably day of. We'll know a little bit better of an idea and such. So, but yeah, that's Sunday tip time. Where did it go here?
Should draw a big crowd, big TV crowd.
Be a huge win for Wisconsin.
Would it ever?
Just looking at ticket prices for that game, it's not even close. That is the most expensive game that day. $123 if you want to go. Next closest one, $47. St. Peter's and Marist.
Oh boy, that's all that's on Sunday.
To this schedule I'm looking at on the mothership right now. You got Illinois at Michigan, but that ticket says $25.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's less than face value.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they're selling tickets of Michigan basketball for $25.
Well, let me click on the link here. Maybe I can get you a ticket here if you want to go over to Ann Arbor for Sunday.
Well, I got a niece that lives there, so right down the road from Chrysler Arena.
$25.
Or not? Is that Chrysler Arena?
Yep, Chrysler Center.
Yeah, Chrysler Center. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. 25, 26, 26, 27.
Wow.
20, yeah, you can go.
There are still deals in this world.
Mm-hmm. Not at Michigan State though. That's the wrong one. You don't. If you want to spend $123, then you can go to that one. But
well, it's still not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Wisconsin, they don't really for Michigan State at least. They haven't been over the years too intimidated to go over there and play. They've come away with some big W's against Tom Izzo's teams there.
Yeah, they have, and every once in a while, Izzo, and they got lucky last night to win that game because they made some bonehead plays, but they're a good team. Mm-hmm. And they recovered from it, which makes them a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But they can be beaten.
It's I know there's some Badger fans that don't like Izzo and that. I've always respected Izzo.
I don't have any problem. He's a great coach.
Yeah, and I mean, he's always had the respect in the world for Wisconsin. I mean, when they hired Greg Gard, he sang nothing but praises for Greg Gard. I remember the one line he said, "I hate recruiting against him." He was praising like his recruiting skills as an assistant and such. So I've always liked Tom Izzo.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with Tom Izzo.
So
he's a whole lot better than that guy they fired at Michigan. That dope. Remember
Juwan Howard?
Juwan Howard. Where is he at now?
He's an assistant in the NBA, I think. Somewhere.
Oh, is he? Yeah, that's where he belongs.
Where did he go? Juwan Howard is Brooklyn Nets. Assistant back
because they hit the jackpot with the coach they've got now at Michigan.
Dusty May.
He's brought in some nice players. I'll tell you that kid he brought in Danny Wolf from Princeton or someplace. He's really good. He's a difference maker. Being that big and handle the ball and do what he does, that's the kind of guy to love. He was on Wisconsin's team, man, and you get rid of Kroll or somebody like that and you put that guy on there. Oof, what a difference that would make. He is a very good player.
I was,
Dusty team player too.
Dusty May's in his first year, and they already gave him an extension so he wouldn't go to Indiana.
Yeah.
Last week they gave him an extension already.
Yeah. They don't want to lose him. He's a good coach.
Yeah, so he got a pay raise, not even through his first year yet, and all that. I'm like, don't blame him. That's the name of the game. In
it is, and I think Indiana won last night, and of course Woodson's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I think by popular choice, but. If he gets them in the tournament and they do something in the tournament, there might be, people are quick to judge, like Luke Fickell. He's only been there 2 years. His second year at Wisconsin, he had the same record Barry Alvarez had in his second year at Wisconsin. So, let's put a little wool on the reins here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but all right. Yeah, that's all we got for picks and predicts here this morning. Just a couple minutes left to the top of the hour anyways over here too. So
who's going to be the first pick in the draft?
Oh, that's too early.
No, it's not. Don't tell me you haven't studied this.
It's too early to make my proclamations.
Do you think they'll keep it, or who is it? Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah.
They're going to keep it or trade out?
I think they'll keep it.
Yeah, okay.
I think they'll keep it unless
I don't think there's anybody that attractive to keep it for.
I saw Schefter say overall from the draft. Now, I know Schefter's not an NFL draft guru, but he did say yesterday, like, the guy that you would get at 15 would be like the guy you got at number 35 last year. So there's not a lot of optimism or depth for some people in this draft.
Yeah, I don't think there's any jump out one or two players that you got to pick first.
Mm-hmm.
This might be an opportunity for Tennessee for somebody that wants to go up to the top for whatever reason to get out of it and go down and get 2 or 3 or 4 more picks.
Yeah, I know Travis Hunter is probably the best athlete in this one.
Yeah. But is he a difference maker in the NFL?
Receiver. Abdul Carter, I just saw this morning. Apparently now doctors told him not to have surgery. So be interesting to see how that's going to factor in his draft stock.
Yeah, I know. He played in Madison against Wisconsin, and I know he's a great player, but he was a non-entity in that game. He did nothing in that game and, made one big play. But other than that, he didn't disrupt Wisconsin at all. But I know he's a great player. I watched him play other games, but he's still not the guy you would go get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
I think the only prediction that I can tell you right now that I would be willing to bet my 401k on for this draft will be that there will be a quarterback taken in the first round.
How many? Cam Ward and
Shedeur Sanders. I'll tell you what, the guy I'm really curious about, he's not going to be a first rounder unless he really skyrockets, is where Quinn Ewers goes.
Yeah,
Texas
from
quarterback.
Texas, yeah.
I was reading yesterday, apparently he's going to throw at the combine, but apparently he's working with Mike McCarthy right now. With they call it board work. So
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But
he was pretty good at times. Whether he can be consistently good remains to be seen.
But he was like the first one, I think, one of the first ones with the whole NIL in college. Remember, he's at Ohio State. He's like, no, I got to go to Texas, start cashing in right away. And, we heard, I feel like he was like Trevor Lawrence. We kept hearing about him before he even started to play. And now he's not even projected a first-round pick.
Well, if he can get it with a team that's pretty good, rather than a Tennessee that's got nothing.
Maybe he could back up Aaron Rodgers somewhere.
There you go. Never say never. Never say never.
That's going to do it for us. DP, Dan, are up next. Have a good Thursday. We're back at it tomorrow to wrap up the week. Same place, same time. Talk to you then.